evening, wherever you're at here on planet Earth. Uh, Talking about Black people, but so I can actually get into some open discussion with the scripture and actually kind of deliver that aspect of it, because I'd like to do that. It's actually really one of my favorite things to do is to kind of just sit there and divulge things that are within so-called word. Like right here, I have this is a concordance Bible, okay, and in it is information that I've shared on several occasions. Um, the most important of it was, or I would say the most recent, but I felt it was most important was during the spiritual gumbo. Their words, not mine, and it was the season that the Sadducees, Essenes, Zealots, and the Nazarites. And I just wanted to speak on something real quick and just jump into different parts of different sections, and I'll let you know where I'm going as I go there. So right now we're in the Sadducees section, right? And the Sadducees are Sadakim, righteous ones, the second of the two great Jewish political religious sects or parties, represented the aristocratic priestly families who clung tenaciously to ancient privileges, to ancient privilege and legal observance. So this means that these people are more than likely Levites, like actual true Levites. And they call them Sadducees as opposed to calling them Levites to cover up their identity. Um, the importance is because it'll say right here, we're going to skip down about 5 sentences. And it says, it is generally agreed that the existence of the sect in the form that is best known to history was was due wholly to an effort to counteract by an organized opposition the paramount influence of the Pharisees. Are you hearing that? The latter, the Pharisees, had added to the law, while the Sadducees contended for the integrity of the written law alone. Stop. But if you read anything about the Sadducees, people try to make it seem as if the Sadducees are villains, but they're not villains. When the Messiah, the so-called anointed one, whoever you want to call him, whatever he is to you, Messiah to me, the Christ, he rebukes the scribes, the Pharisees, and the hypocrites, but he's not talking about the Sadducees. He's not talking about people who actually are doing the law. Like there's a difference. Once again, when Yeshua was given up to death, he's given up by the scribes. And I'm going to hold it on this page. Now, you know what? No, I'm going to keep it here because my initial point was to get to Paul for a second. Everybody wants to, they always say, well, why does Paul talk like he's a homosexual? Or why do you get the idea that he's a homosexual? Well, Paul, if you actually look into his history, and I'll look for the link later, and I'll put it in here because it's super duper long. I would love for you guys to read it. It's somebody's make believe fantasy world of Paul, but they have a lot of factual information about him that's not normally written down within Scripture, and it stresses the fact that Paul was raised in an orphanage. Now, why that's important is because, well, why would you be raised in an orphanage, right? You see what I'm saying? So let's just read this about the Essenes real quick. The strangest and most mysterious exclusive of all Jewish religious sects were the Essenes, Esseni or Essenians, variously interpreted as healers, teachers, and Baptists, a fraternity of mysto-ascetics whose origin is not definitely known, even the derivation of the name being uncertain. It is reasonably certain, however, that the sect was an ancient one, probably an outgrowth of the religious feeling which sprang up under Greek domination, which was tinctured strongly with Persian philosophy. In the days of Josephus, they were influential. and number probably 4,000. And we don't worry about numbers like that. We just keep going through that. We push our way through that. One of the gates of Jerusalem was named after them, yet their doctrines seem never to have been popular among the Jews. Stop. We're going to go into their doctrines as we do this, and we're going to break it down. And then you're going to see why I'm like, maybe y'all don't get it, but I'm going to break it down why this is so huge. The sect is not even mentioned in the New Testament. I wonder why. But considerable light is shed upon their creed and practices by early authoritative religious writers. They were celibates. Stop. So for them to be celibates, okay, and for a man, Paul, to call himself what's the word? Doing whatever. What's up, Wavy Ben? I'm doing all right, bro. But Paul, he tells these people to practice celibacy because he was raised in this orphanage with the Essenes. It seems more likely for a person who claims that he was raised to know the scripture and to understand the scripture. And just to listen to this part right here of the Essenes. Excuse me. They subdued all fleshly lust and passions, and by living pure lives sought to come into such communion with deity that they might receive the gifts of prophecy and miracles. They lived in isolated communities, tilled the ground, herded the flocks, raised their own produce, and made their own garments. All things they had in common. They abjured all pleasures, denounced war and slavery, and refused earthly distinction. They believed in the immortality of the soul, but not in a bodily resurrection. They rose before sunrise. They prayed together. They labored till noon, then washed, and putting on white garments, sat down to a common sacramental meal. After the meal, all returned and put off the white robes and resumed their labor till evening, when all again dined together as before. On Sabbath, which they observed scrupulously, they were instructed in ordinances and classes. Their ranks recruited from the children of Jewish communities. Stop right there, because here we go. Because it says, by the Jews. So to say Jewish, and then to go and say the word Jews, we know why this is. See, Paul is Jewish. You understand? Paul's not a Jew. Paul is a dude who is of whatever other genetics, and the people are like, okay, well, we can't tell him to just like die, but what we can tell him to do is not to continue to breed this corrupted seed into the people, and to not continue to go out and then to go and make children with other people from other nations. You see what I'm saying? So this is all about culture identity at the end of the day for this group. And I'm going to go back to the earlier parts where it says they were semi-monastics, and I'm trying to think exactly what the word means. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. 1 second. Yeah, like a monk. Okay, I was right. Anyway, so they were like semi-monkish, but just think about this for a second. Every group I'm reading about, even when I read about the zealots, all these people are kind of sort of zealots in their own way. You know, even the corrupted groups are zealots in their own way. Shalom, what up, Lincoln? But there's a lot going on here. Once again, so these people are celibates, which everybody's like, well, why does Paul talk like this? I'm quite sure he was raised in an Essene orphanage. I'm almost positive of that. And that's just what I wanted to point out to you, was that that piece alone in his doctrine, right? But remember, Paul has Roman citizenship. So one of his parents has to be Roman. Understand this and acknowledge that you don't get to just get Roman citizenship. That's not how it works, you know. Otherwise, there would have been all kinds of Jews with Roman citizenship, all kinds of them. So no, Paul has Roman blood coursing through his veins. By and far, this is a fact, and because of this, it should be thought of as a at least a heads up. Now let me hit you guys with something real quick. I'm going to skip to the Nazarites past the Zealots real fast. It's at the very end. John the Baptist, James the Just, according to traditions, were Nazarites, and it is recorded that St. Paul joined himself to them for a time while he sojourned at Jerusalem. Now, we all know that when he went up to Jerusalem, James tried to get Paul killed. He tried his best to get the people to kill Paul. Now, the reason why this is so important is because Paul tells the people, don't think about what you eat, nor think about who you lay down with. And the reason why this is important is because if he was raised in this Essene orphanage, he's broken roots from not only being pretty much a strict vegetarian, right? But he's also broken roots from the fact that he's not supposed to be out there making babies. He's supposed to be celibate. So the fact that he preaches celibacy to people, right, which is what he's talking about, but yet he'll tell people don't think about it, don't even worry about it. It's him trying to exacerbate a problem that the Essenes are trying to stop. It's almost as if this guy was like a spy in the Essene orphanage just to bring down their doctrine in a way. Because for him to have been with the Nazarites, once again, this is a sanctity of purity. It's hard to believe that this man would tell people, anybody, Gentiles or not, to put into their bodies what is considered unclean, knowing that the Nazarite vow is one of strict cleanliness. It's hard to fathom that. It's hard to really believe that this man has done that. So, with that said, I guess what I'm trying to get at is this. When you hear things like the Zealots, excuse me, right? And excuse me one second, and let me find a little spot real quick. Nope. Here we go. This is the issue with the Zealots. Holding to the principal religious tenets of the Pharisees, they added an applicable hatred of Gentile power, refused to pay tribute, and defied the Roman governors. They looked for an earthly Messiah who would restore the glory of Israel, and their adherents endeavored to persuade Jesus early in his ministry to ally himself with them. Simon, one of his disciples, was originally a zealot. The zealots were ultimately exterminated by Rome in about 6 or 7 AD. That's neither here nor there. What's important is that these so-called zealots are under Pharisee teaching. Now, we all know that Paul is a Pharisee. Now, while you're like, well, why is this all so important? I'm like, because as one man, he managed to do damage by being doctrinally related to the Zealots, by being a Pharisee, a person who's pretty much their doctrine was the doctrine of the Zealots. So the Zealots are pretty much people who followed marching orders and didn't realize it, if to put it blunt. And then and maybe they did realize it, who knows? And then to say then that he was with the Nazarites, another group of once again of characters who are totally separate, but they all have their own level of zeal. You can't consecrate yourself to the Most High and call yourself doing this, but yet somehow, some way, shape, and fashion, you say that you can eat pork and you can eat shrimp and possum and raccoon and dog and cat. So it's just highly unthinkable. It really is highly unthinkable. Um, but however, this is what's going down. We're going to go and I'm going to touch on this part real quick with the Pharisees. And then I'm going to jump to this Bible, which in the back of this Bible has a little more detailed happening, one moment, of some of these things. When I want to get to the scripture as to how they try to break it down. One moment. But right here, we're not even going to talk about the scribes. I don't even talk about them. We're going to talk about the Pharisees, right to the Pharisees. Among the religious sects or divisions which sprang into existence as the result of this conflict of opinion concerning matters of the law, the Pharisees were in many respects the most important. Their name was derived from the Hebrew word perishim, separatist. Now understand, they're separatists, but the Sadducees are considered tzaddikim, righteous ones. So understand, who would you rather be, a righteous one or a separatist? A lot of what they get the Talmud based on are things that the scribes and the Pharisees concocted to themselves, because you had people who weren't Israelites circumventing the law, making up things as they went, so to speak. Why this is important? We're going to go all the way back from Malachi to Matthew. It's called the Great Persecution. And here we go. The great crisis in the history of Jewish people in Palestine came in 175 BC, when Antiochus Epiphanes became king of Syria. I could read this to you guys in the Septuagint, in the Apocrypha, but we're not going to go through all that. He determined not only the complete subjugation of Palestine, but on rooting out Jewish faith and practice. Now here goes that ish word again. The reason why it's so important is because nobody wants to understand or appreciate the term Jewish is not one that is it's not used within the scripture at all, ever, until the New Testimony. Israel-itish, I can only think of one time. That's it. I can only think of one time that the word Israel-itish is used, and it's in the book of Leviticus. That's neither here nor there. What's important is that we have this dude who's going to change everything right now. Now listen to this right here. He captured Jerusalem and proceeded to desecrate the sacred places. An altar to Greek deity Zeus was set up in the temple. Swine offered and sacrificed and their blood sprinkled on the holy place. Stop right there. So for a guy to say this right here to you in the Bible, this is exactly what Paul says. Let's go to Timothy. 2 Timothy, if I'm not mistaken. And chapter 1. One moment. Nope. 1 Timothy. So check this out. And we're going to start at verse 3, chapter 1. As I besought thee to abide still at Ephesus, when I went into Macedonia, that thou mightest charge some, that they teach no other doctrine. Neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, which minister questions rather than godly edifying, which is in faith. So do. Excuse me. Now, the whole point of this right here is that for this man to try to tell somebody that nothing matters as far as your genealogy goes, and then to try to tell you that you can eat anything, goes totally against what the Sadducees are saying, right? Which is why when the Sadducees had Paul on the trial, because he's seen that one side was Sadducees, one side was Pharisees. Well, the people who were convicting Paul were of the Sadducee ilk. The guys who were of like the high priest order were of the Sadducees. This is why they used the terms so loosely, but who else were they associated with? They weren't just priests diddy bopping out there all by themselves. This was the name of the priest, the Sadducees. This is what I'm trying to say, is that you have one man, going against the entire principles of everything that we've ever all been taught. And in his teachings, and only in his teachings, is it ever put forth like this. Now, I'm not going to tarry on Paul too long. I have other things I want to talk about. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was strange children. In the book White Trash, the mulatto or the mixed breed, the mongrel, or the strange child in this Bible, right? The mixed multitude. That person, you see, it's a conundrum of things. It would be illegitimate for me to say that I don't feel guilty to speak on it, and guilty in the sense that, like, knowing that my son's mother is mixed breed with a black father and a white mother. So it's like when I speak on it, there's a level of humility that I have to render. But the importance of all this is that Paul went against the direct principles that would have disallowed for things like that to happen in the future. You see, if the Sadducees were strict law followers, the only issues the Essenes had with the Sadducees was that they ate animals and they practiced animal sacrifice. And the Essenes are people who obviously date back or are living in a lifestyle that goes back to the Noahic covenant, okay, the Adamic covenant. But that's neither here nor there. That's why they call them ancient, because what they're doing goes all the way back to the beginning. But that's neither here nor there. The importance of all this is that you have these strange children who are running around right now today, who are running around during the Civil War era, who were all they killed off so many mixed people during the Civil War. It really, really is a sad thing when I think about it. They killed off all those people because they didn't want them to be able to hold power within a public office, or to start to muddle the line between what was white and what was black. So all these love experiments, we'll call them, were pretty much exterminated. Now, why this is important once again is because when the Romans sacked Jerusalem, well, who do you think was fighting that against the Romans? But people who felt like they might have had stake versus the Romans, or people part Roman or half Roman or predominantly Roman, who claim to be Jewish or follow the Jewish laws. These are small things, not written within Scripture, but one has to presume that they've taken place. If you will say that Black people served in the Civil War and that Native Americans served in the Civil War, how much more so is it to say that mulattoes served in? So if you believe that there were Israelites who were wicked and evil and some of them righteous who fought against the Romans, Why wouldn't the mixed breeds have been in on this? Right. On either side. Right. So the conflict of interest is why you don't mix blood. Another thing. Um, I cannot stress enough that the scripture is really more about genetics and what happens when you congeal genetics that are not normally compatible and the consequences thereof. It's not fair to say that that's all that it is, but there is a lot of it that is based in that. Um, the scripture, the word be true. Uh, it's not always popular or fun or whatever, but these are the things that people have to hear about, because when we talk about all the black in the world and people don't recognize that the tribes of Israel were black people, regardless of the skin tone, were bearded, regardless of their skin tone, right? And had this kind of hair, regardless of the skin tone. It's hard to imagine how people can justify, oh, that's right. No, it was, and he was a just man. That's absolutely right. But but the fact that you have these tribes that aren't allowed to blood mix and congeal with other black skinned people, so-called black people, um, it should tell us something. It should beckon questions as to why weren't they allowed to mix with these people. And then when you go back and you look at, well, there was a time when the sons of God came down and mated with the daughters of man, right? And these creatures, these beings that were derived from these unholy matrimonies were were totally devoid of anything other than their own desires. And not that all people who are mixed blood are like that, but that's the danger that it comes with that when you go down that path. You know, what's going to make a person who once again is they come from a different set of values than you do, and they could look just like you, but their values are totally different. So once again, why would you want to have babies with them when they're going to try to force these values into your child, and then once again continue to teach these values, right? So, and this is just in regular life. You have a man who gets married to a woman, so-called black woman, so-called black man, and he's like, he eats pork, but she don't. But he's in charge of her situation, so she don't eat pork, but he lets the kids eat pork. You see what I'm saying? You know, um, or my favorite one, because this is a situation that I'm in right here, where you have relatives who have children who have peculiar food allergies and stuff like this. And so when you go to visit them sometimes, right, they they I don't know, I'm not gonna call them funny, but they have a way of acting about certain things, and then you can see the child doing this stuff where you're like, see, that's why they're supposed to have both their parents here, or that's why they're supposed to have parents with similar same values, so that way this can't happen, because they think they can be picky, right? And I go through this a lot. This is why I don't deal with my family that much, because they have children who are grown. Some of them my age, some of them are just a little bit younger. I'm 27, right? And these jokers, some of them are still pretty much at home. Uh, have never left. They have never left home. Have had everything given to them, and it's because they have misculture from one parent to the other, or what the other parent was able to drive the other parent away. You see what I'm saying? So they get a one-sided thing, or they get to see dysfunction, and then they don't know where they stand on it. You see what I mean? And then when once again, we have to base out the reality of this. If you're half Greek, half Israelite back in the day, and your mother is the Israelite, right? You're a Grecian to these dudes. You're Israelitish, but you're Grecian. They kind of sort of accept you, but they know they have to watch you because at a moment's notice, you could side up with values that don't coincide with our values. And this was the whole point of not blood mixing, because these people come from different culture backgrounds. They don't believe what you believe. Uh, I got these two pictures up real quick. I'm gonna make sure that my screen is gonna do it right, but I'm gonna show you guys something. And it's just funny because, so we're gonna share this. So we got this guy right here, right? And then we got this guy right next to him. Hopefully I can get this other picture up. 1 second. 1 second. Because these are in two different. So we see my guy right here, right? Bam, bam, bang. I'm gonna close him down. No, hold on. Let me get up on him real quick, just so y'all can see these little beads. So really, look how tight the beads are on this gentleman's head, right? Look how old this man is. Look at the laugh lines on his face. This dude's probably like 50 years old. He's really old. Okay. The importance of all this is that I'm going to show you another picture right now. Yeah. 1 second. Look at this guy. Now look at these guys. Now, because YouTube has obviously not been liking me sharing and showing y'all stuff, right? I have to do it like this. But this is very legitimate, y'all. And when I say it's very legitimate, it's legit for two reasons. Look at these guys, at their facial structure. Second, let me zoom in. Look at their hair, right? This guy's hair, this guy's hair. It's thick and curly-ish, but it's not exactly coarse like ours. But it's just right around the corner. So what happens when, let's say, guys from groups like this have babies with groups from the one I just showed you? You see what I mean? There's the ability to say, "Oh, we know what we're looking at," and Demetrius, you're just stressing it and you're just beating a dead horse. But then there's the other level of, "Hey, y'all, what I'm saying is that those are two supposedly black people right there. But I guarantee that those two cultures of people that you just seen don't share the same ideals on anything, just about, other than eating and having to survive and procreating." So when that is the only medium that keeps you connected, you have to really wonder, like, what am I doing? You know, uh, a dude gonna try to tell me last night, "Oh, scientific ventures are pretty much the truth and this, that, and the other." And all I was trying to tell the dude was like, man, that's a lie, because where's Australopithecus? Where's Homo erectus? Where Homo habilis at? Where are they at? They'd have to still be alive to this day. You see what I mean? For me to want to believe that, because that's too hard to believe. Give me one moment. Because I'm currently in another folder. I'm going to start a particular part of it. 1 second. And we go. Yeah, 1 second. Let me share my screen again. This window. This guy. So check this out. So take this dude right here. Oh, hating on me. 1 second. Where's my picture at? It won't let me do it there, so we'll just have to do it here. I wanted to blow up everything else. So look at this guy. No, this is a real Middle Eastern. This dude lives somewhere. I forget what country. Look at him. He looks similar to a lot of black people here. I bet you he don't speak. If he speaks English, you know what I mean? It's probably hard, broken English. You get what I'm saying? Unless he's actually been formally educated. And that's not being disrespectful. That's just an analysis. That would be like anybody else trying to speak a language. You might say certain words that sound clear, but overall, you don't know the language, so you can't speak it fluently. But I'm gonna move on from this brother right here. He look just like our people. More than likely, that's probably like Esau or Ishmael or somebody like that. More than likely. Check it out. Man, they won't let me. They're just so corny. Look how dark that old man is, right? He don't exactly look like nobody that I know, but he could look like somebody that you know. You get what I'm saying? But once again, still, he don't share the values and the belief systems. And this was the issue that the Essenes, the Zealots, the Sadducees, and the Pharisees, well, all these people were having was that there's no way you're going to tell me that a guy who looks like him and a guy who looks like him share the same beliefs. I don't care what people say. And because we're not willing to say, you know what, that makes sense. That makes hella sense. That just because they're the same skin tone or even because they're from the same, geographical area, that they believe the same things. This guy right here, there's no way that you can tell me that this man and this man believe the same things. And they look more similar than anybody that I've shown you so far yet. And there's no way that you can verify that. Those two guys right there might come from clans that hate each other. And they would never want their people in blood mix because they would never want them enforcing the way that they believe onto the other people. Look at this guy right here. Y'all probably know somebody who looked like this dude, but this is an African right here. I'm not sure if that's a Hamite, Semite, Hamite, or if he's a Middle Earth dude who with some facial hair. I mean, like, I would assume he's kind of sort of Adamite, but I couldn't put my hands on whether if he's Hamitic dominant, Semitic dominant, Japhetic dominant. You could never know because you would have to know the actual region where his people seed from. That you have to know that. So look at this guy right here. I don't know nobody that looks like that. Not one. And you would be hard pressed to tell me that this man and this man are biologically related. You would be hard pressed. Cousins, maybe. And for this guy to look so, he'd have to have like a clean shave and he'd have to actually grow something for me to see that. But he don't look like anybody I know. Excuse me. So it's just one of those things that's just crazy. Look at these people right here. Look at this lady. Does she look like anybody you know? Once again, so when we're talking about these Essenes teaching people not to blood mix and to be celibate, right? Look at this man. Look at him and him are not the same. Him and him are not the same people. I don't care what you tell me. Their eyebrow structure is not the same. This man's nose, none of this is really similar. Closest thing you could try to say is kind of like the cheekbones, but even they look totally different. This man looks like a dark-skinned Asian. Excuse me. We know people, I'm sure you know somebody who looks like him. And once again, this is a picture of an African dude. This chick, I'm not even gonna get carried away. Look at this guy right here. You might know people who have similar facial structure, maybe not so much the light eyes, and maybe sometimes the light eyes, but there's a lot of so-called black men that look, I don't know, angry like that. They have that same kind of stern look on their face. Look at this dude. Nobody in my family looks like that. And if you're willing to tell your children, once again, the good old Paul way, right? Think not of fables and endless genealogy, which minister question right on. mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cause look at him. Where's the hair on the side of his face at? Where's it at? So for him to be an Israelite, I'm hard pressed. Look at this guy. And people know dark skinned people who look like this dude or whatever. Only certain of these facial structure features have made it to this place, to this land. You see what I'm saying? This is so important. Look at this dude. Look at his hair. Look how smooth his face is. I went to boot camp with guys like this who never shaved ever. Look at him. This is the kind of guy that the chicks were going for way back in the day, blood mixing with dudes who look just like this. This guy and this guy are not the same. They are not the same people. They are not the same. Look at all these people here. Look at all of them. Look at all their faces. Look how similar they look for the most part. Even in the differences, they still look similar. Don't look like nobody I know. This guy and these people don't look related. They don't even look the same. They don't even look the same. The guy standing behind him looks different from him. Face put together differently. He looks like his whole body structure could be put together all totally different from this guy's, man. They don't even look like the same people right here. This is crazy. Look at her. With the condition of her hair, texture of her hair. You know people that look like this. Look at that. Look how unless the mama just cut her hair all the time, her hair don't grow very long. I'd be hard pressed to believe that. And these are the kind of people I'm talking about, blood mixing with other people whose hair grows longer to produce a baby that looks different. It takes a long time to do, though, people. Look at this dude. Even with all the markings on all their faces. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Look at his lips, his nose, his eyebrow structure, chin, all that stuff. This guy, see what I'm saying? All that stuff matters. The height of his cheekbones, his jawline, all that. All these things matter. How people are put together. Yeah, let's get past that dude. Look at this dude. Look, there's no way you're going to tell me this guy and this guy are genetically. There's no way. There's no way. I'm hard pressed. I'm just saying. Look. Look. Does she look like anybody you know? Maybe a mixed person you know, but not no real black person that you know. Come on, man. Nobody in my family looks like that. Nobody. Not built like that, nothing. Not even the skinny girls are built like that in my family. Look at the eyebrow line. How it's not the same for all these guys. Similar features for these two, more or less. And these guys kind of look like misfits with these two. But understand, this is a prime example of when people mix up, right? From different genus classes. You think these guys know the difference between themselves? Probably not. They all think they're black. These are black people in Turkey. But look at these people. Look at these people. And observe. Look at these guys right here. These are black people. Some of them even look similar to black people that you know. Why is that? Hmm? Why doesn't this guy right here, who looks just like anybody that you've seen on the street, why don't he look crazy? Why don't he look like his eyes buck-eyed? Any of that stuff. Even this crazy looking brother right here, that we know that we even seen somebody who looked crazy just like him. Diddy bopping around. You know this dude right here don't speak no English. You hearing what I'm saying? Ask yourself that. Consider that. However, that's just what I want y'all to think about, because it's bigger than me just reading the Bible to you and saying, uh, don't allow yourself to be laying down with any old person. And not that I agree with being celibate, but I understand. Look, right here. Look at this. These are their children. That baby's not black. I don't give a damn what this dude says. Okay? These would be the Jewish type people that they were talking about. Before we get carried away from all that other nonsense, I'm dead ass serious. For Sunday night chat, I really want to just kind of talk. Let's see what this guy's talking about. Show. I ate spicy Taco Bell and now here we go. 1 second. These guys are funny. So here we go. As we see, my people in my chat room. You know what I'm saying? Yes, everything is different, Mr. Lincoln. Everything is different. And please ignore these guys. Once again, now that I can see that there's schmuckatellis here. How you doing, Tammy? You know, I'm gonna partake in my meal now in front of them because I'm a faggot and things like that. But however, now let's talk about something that's actually really important with this. The whole situation that I've always tried to present is that there's a matter of legitimacy in the claims that people are making. Everything Paul says isn't totally stupid or erroneous. Henceforth, no one would listen to him if he had no scriptural foundation. Not with scripture, it wouldn't even make sense. But what they can do with Paul, what is acceptable, is to take the things that he says that are agreeable and then make them, what's the word? Make them understandable to terms and conditions that they would like to change. Oh, his name actually means that? Wow. Are you serious? I'm gonna look that up. That's funny. Truth with lies, huh? Well, I mean, what? Funniest thing. Funniest thing. When you say that his name means, which name? Saul or Paul? The S or the P? The reason why that's so important, I had to chew my food to think about that, is because we all have to be aware that there was a guy named Saul before this Saul who was a king. So that's the only reason why I ask. So are you aware of that much, or is it just Paul? How you doing? Okay. Okay. Right on. I got you. I got you. I'm with you. So we're on chat time now. I covered what I wanted to talk about. I talked about this whole race thing again. I know it seems stupid. I know it seems like but I really can't stress. We're talking about what you want to talk about. That's what we're talking about. I have no structured thing. It's almost like an expound, but it's really like a chat because this is you say something and then I say something back. What's stupid? I'm lost. However, is that no, you're not at a school. You talk about stuff. It's almost like a discussion. It's almost like a discussion. I mean, I would gladly give anybody, the dang on link to get in here and talk, but people normally don't hop in, so there's no need to leave something out there for no reason. But whatever you bring up, I have no issue addressing. Yeah, race. Talking about race is it's such a moot point, though, sister. This is why like I took my opportunity with white trash because I talk about genetics. I don't want to talk about race. Let's talk about genetics. If we're going to talk about race, we need to talk about genealogy. You see, and then we need to talk about the actual building blocks of genetics. You know, dominant, recessive, 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 dominant, recessive, dominant, dominant. You know, how these things actually affect how a person thinks, how they're put together, what they do, how they'll experience their life, what they will experience, what they won't experience, what they're capable of achieving, what their successes feel like, what their failures feel like. These are little things, you know. Um, when you read about certain characters within the scripture, if we read very carefully, we read about the actual intimate moment of a success or a failure and exactly how they felt. Um, it is a historical account, so and it's a skewed historical account. So we're given not day in the life understanding. Oh, well, if you're at school, get it in. I mean, I'm not. I don't, you're at school listening to a dude talk about something on a Sunday night chat that is meant for him to just talk to people who normally might have to just watch a video after I've already produced it. And I would like to just chop it up. You know, lately I've been doing these all the black in the world things. I wanted to give that a slight little break because I want to talk about black people, but I want to talk about my people. You know what I'm saying? And before I can talk about my people all the way, I have to distinguish all the other different kinds of folks. You what? The whole class is watching. They said you're funny. Your class is a funny class. Well, thank you for hosting me to the class. I'm just speaking and sharing because many misconceptions have been placed out uh, uh, um, in the world. You know, about everything. Oh, my story. Oh, where do we start with that part? Do we start with the last 4 years and me coming to my senses in the last 4 years? Or do we go all the years before that where I was totally out of my mind and I kind of sort of had an idea of what it is that I think I should have been doing? Um, this is the closest thing to what you would call my calling is, and it's just dealing with other people. You know, um, you don't teach anybody anything. Everybody learns from everybody. Well, racism became an issue when I noticed that all black people weren't the same and that we were spoke on in the same manner and tone, and that there were other people who were sometimes of much considerably darker hue who weren't considered black. And I found this interesting, and I find it still to this day very interesting. And the confusion that it causes to see a black skinned, you see, but the table of nations is a I won't call it a sham, but but uh how I understand race and people, uh yes. A second. Let me get my mind caught up. First, racism is what it is. Um it's one's ability to withhold from another group of people based on their cultural beliefs or standings from the other, regardless of what they look like. There have been people who have, in the past, hated other people who look just like them in this country, who are under the same genetic umbrella. To me, it's not about race, though. Well, I mean, how fake is race, though, Lincoln? See, here's the thing: if I don't look like somebody, okay, so if races aren't true, how real are tribes? Can you dig it? When you tear at the fabric of what the idea of race actually encompasses, it encompasses not only the tribe, right on, but ideas of the tribe. So the race of a people, a culture is not your race, but the race that they designate to you is your culture. Whatever it is that people have decided what that is. So people believe that the Chinese race of people, based on their culture, are all martial artists. While this is not true, yet this is something that they will go back and back to time and time again. Yeah, a tribe is an extended family, but still though, what is the genetic constitution? Shalom. What's the genetic constitution? Once again, for you to say that, right? That means that white people can make black people then. There's no such thing as race. If race doesn't matter, genetics are fake, and white people can make black people. And there's no and you can't mingle blood with blood. If there's no such thing as race, it's impossible then. Race gives identity to the genetics. You understand what I'm saying? It's not about, see, the convoluted idea of what race is has everybody thinking that race is not real or that it should be irrelevant. But I just showed you, if you were here, I showed a bunch of different pictures of different looking black people. I didn't even go into my library of pictures with black people with straight hair. And those black people didn't even look the same that I showed you. Most of them didn't. And the few that I showed you that look like black people similar to here, they don't speak no English. They don't share the same culture as us. When you say nation, that means that you have borders. Listen, Donald Trump said something very true. Whether or not you know this, Donald Trump said a nation without borders is not a nation. Can you dig it? What's up, bro? So I can't be a nation or be part of one if I don't live in borders. I look like a certain person. Lincoln, you look like a certain person. It's impossible. It's impossible. Once again, nation does not encompass genetics. Genetics encompass the nation. Case in point, when you read the Genesis of chapter 10, and it gives you the different races of people, races, nations that come out of them. And we'll start right here. Verse 13. And Mizraim begot the Ludim, and Nephthalim, and Enamithim, and Labim, and the Patronosim, and the Cosmonim, which came forth Philistine. Excuse me, so they're not Canaanites. They're actually closer to Egyptians. And the Gopharim. And Canaanite begot Sidon, his firstborn, and the Kittite, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgashite, and the Evite, and the Ardukite, and the Assanite, and the Aradean, and the Sumerian, and the Amathite. Bruh. Check this out. I don't read out of the stuff like the Book of Jubilees. I don't. To be perfectly honest, I really don't. I really don't. Because anything that's not scripturally sound within the Old Testimony, because everything I just read to you is right there in the first 10 books of the Genesis. Right there. That's chapter 10 going on. You see what I'm saying? And so it's like you're talking about, I just named two of the sons of Ham, just two of Ham's sons. And all the different nations of people that came out of the sons that are races of people. They are races. Regardless if they're a nation, they're still a race. Because once the thing, see, I'm not sure if you believe in Middle Earth or not, but once the things from Middle Earth came up and accepted their genetics into normal human beings, they changed their genetic constitution. Therefore, they made them different. Yes. When you're made different, that's what happens. They're not even considered different races at the point where, stop. You know what? Let me kill my whole point. Genesis chapter 11, verse 1 to verse 11. Excuse me, verse 1 to verse 10. And all the earth was one lip, and there was one language to all. And it came to pass as they moved from the east that they found a plain, they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And a man said to his neighbor, come, let us make bricks and bake them with fire. And the brick was to them for stone, and their mortar was bitumen. And they said, come, let us build to ourselves a city and tower, whose top shall be to heaven, and let us make to ourselves a name before we are scattered abroad upon the face of all the earth. Very interesting right here. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men built. And the Lord said, behold, there is one race. He said, what? There is one race and one lip of all, and they have begun to do this. And now nothing shall fail from them, all that they may have undertaken to do. And the Lord scattered them thence over the face of all the earth, and they left off building the city and the tower. On this account, its name was called Confusion, because there the Lord confounded the languages of all the earth, and thence the Lord scattered them upon the face of all the earth. Now, if I wanted to follow that up with another piece of scripture, thank you, Lincoln. I'm glad you can see what I'm saying, but just give me one moment. Now, if I wanted to say how they get scattered, I would read this to you. I would say verse 25, chapter 10, I was saying to Eber were born two sons, the name of one, Peleg, because in his days the earth was divided. Stop. To divide something is to break it into pieces, to scatter it. Can you dig it? So when the earth was divided, that's when the man was divided and scattered. Can you dig it? So the Tower of Confusion and the separation of earth, or earth's landmass, are a connected event. They're not separate events. The tower is not called the Tower of Babel. Thank you very much. That is the King James version of the rendition of the story. Once again, to confound or to confuse you and to call the Tower of Confusion makes a lot more sense. When they say the Tower of Babel, is to give people the precipice that the Tower of Babel is related to the city Babylon, which is whose city? Nimrod city. So they want, thank you. So they want you to be confused with what it is that you're seeing as you see it. It's actually kind of a pun in a very awkward way. Very awkward way. Do I think it's appropriate that writers take and confuse people to this level? No. But do I think it's important for us as a people to be honest with ourselves and say, you know what? They're 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 only doing what it is that they were told that they would do. And they're only doing what the book says that they would do. The wicked devises wicked devices. If that's not a wicked device to put literary traps in front of a person so as to make them quit, give up, and shun and hate the Most High, that's wickedness. That's wickedness in the finest fashions. The finest fashions. You know, like I said, it's wicked when they have a person who can live with you. They think totally different than you. No, but all those black people I showed weren't lumped together in Babylon. It's impossible, dude. It's impossible. You see, you're not listening to what I'm saying, Lincoln. Lincoln, Lincoln. If all the earth was one people, was one race, that means that they're of one genetic constitution. They're of one genetic ilk. That's what that means. That means that everybody has beards, everybody has afros, everybody looks the same, big dog. Yeah, yeah. Today, modern Babylon, maybe they're all thrown together, but the Babylon back then that was just being built, even for thousands of years, dude, people still look just like this. They, I have a hard time believing that guys were running around beardless, calling themselves Israelites way back when Abraham was around, or just shortly after he had died, because shortly after he died would have been the time when they were just going into just getting ready to become slaves. So I don't think people really realize how long Abraham and Isaac both lived, respectively. They lived a long time. And I agree with you, boss. I know race is a divisive term. I don't use race to divide people as it is. I want us to know where we stand. I want to separate our people, but not by terms of what they call race. I want to separate our people by genetic basis and genetic basis alone. By the fact that if we don't all look alike, we all can't be alike on the inside. It's hard for me to believe that. So, um, question. I'm a diddy bop forward real quick. One moment. One moment. Looking for some stuff about people blood mixing. Give me 1 second. You know what? I'll stop. I'll cancel that journey of blood mixing and I'll focus on a journey of blood mixing that happened within the Israelite clan, and then we'll see. So we're in the 20. 4th chapter, chapter 24 of the book of Leviticus. And we're going to start at verse 10. And there went forth a son of an Israelitish woman. So not the Israelitish woman, but a Israelitish woman, an Israelitish woman. So she's just one of many who does not have the Israelite father. Carrying on. And he was the son of an Egyptian man. What? And he was the son of an Egyptian man. And was among the sons of Israel. They fought in the camp, the son of the Israelitish woman and the man who was an Israelite. Stop. They discern that he's not an Israelite. In fact, he was an Israelite. Now they tell you that his father is an Egyptian. What does that make this man? Egyptian. This man is an Egyptian, right? Within the camp of the Israelites, because his mother's technically Egyptian. If you wanted to be righteous about it, you see. But that's how it goes, you see. So we're talking about a chick who was in the tribe, whose mother got with the man. Hold on, no, excuse me, I lied. Whose mother's father was not an Israelite, so she's Israelitish, right on. And now her son, okay, she followed the same pattern, okay, because her father was Egyptian. Can you dig it? She followed the same pattern as her mother and went and got with the Egyptian man. This is what people do to this day, all right? They go and get with people that they're biologically related to. Subconsciously, they'll do this. But she may have done it because of more shallow reasons that I won't even get into. However, it says right here, and the son of the Israelitish woman named the name. And when it says the name, it's all capital letters. THENAME. And it says, and cursed. And they brought him to Moses. His mother's name was Salamith, daughter of Dabri of the tribe of Dan. So his mother is Salamith. Her mother's mother is Dabri, who's the first one to sleep with the Egyptian, who's from the tribe of Dan. Can you dig it? So she's a Danite. Yep. And he's Ishi. Okay. Now I'm a break something to you. I'm gonna skip forth, right? And it says right here, verse 16, and he that curses God shall bear, and he that names the name of the Lord, let him die the death. Let all the congregation of Israel stone him with stones, whether he be a stranger or a native. Thank you right there. So when it says that he's a stranger, okay, or a native, the fact that it isolates the stranger first makes this man a stranger amongst the people. And the reason why he was strange among them, because he was a strange child. Can you dig it? Who had a strange father, whose mother's mother had a strange husband. Can you dig it? They were being nice by calling her Israelitish. They were being nice by doing that. They could have easily called her an Egyptian. Strange genetics, that's right. Now I want you to think about this. Why would the Most High tell people that they can't blood mix? If at one time they all were the same. Now, Lincoln, before you answer, listen to my whole question. Why would the Most High tell people that they can't blood mix if they're all the same? Think about it. Think about it. And I'll wait. Take a bite of my crusty, dusty burrito. Okay, right? They're not the same. I'm going to read to you why they're not the same. All right? I'm going to read to you why the Most High is so amazing. I can't break down everything that I believe that I understand in one sitting, because all of it won't stick. But I know if I keep going at it piece by piece like this, as eventually it's going to resonate with brothers and sisters very truthfully, very hard. And so now I'm gonna go back, okay, to the book of the Genesis. I'm gonna read to you when everything got messed up for people in their blood. Genesis chapter 6, verse 1. No, verse 2. No, verse 1. And Noah was 500 years old and begot three sons, Sem, Ham, Japheth. And it came to pass when man began to be numerous upon the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God, having seen the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, took to themselves wives of all whom they chose. And the Lord God said, my spirit shall certainly not remain among these men forever, because they are flesh, but their days shall be 120 years. Now giants were upon the earth in those days, and after that, when the sons of God were wont to go into the daughters of men, they bore children to them. These were the giants of old, the men of renown. Stop. Now we're going to keep reading. I'm going to skip forward. Verse 12 of chapter 6. But the earth was corrupted before God, and the earth was filled with the iniquity. And the Lord God saw the earth, and it was corrupted. Stop. So the earth is corrupted. Not just what I'm about to keep on saying to you. Now carrying on. Because all flesh, this is why earth is corrupted, because all flesh had corrupted its way upon the earth. Stop. That's why, big dog. That's why. Now, if they were all one flesh, one race, one language, where did these other people come from, bruh? Riddle me that. Mm-hmm. Right. See what I'm saying? See how deep that is? Do you see how deep that is? Oh, my conjectures about Middle Earth are about as 100 proof as they're gonna come. I have used not only the biblical reference of whatever's going on to imbue the argument with strength, but Andre Wickham. That's why I love this brother, because we get to talk, we chops it up, and what he says to me, he says, Demetrius, he said, bro, he said, you know the next thing you got to talk about, right? I appreciate you, Lincoln. I appreciate it. He says, Meech, you got to talk about, man, is how if people was living in caves, right? How'd they get to the caves? What up, Martin? How you doing, bro? How'd they get inside the caves? Think about it. Oh, much respect to you too, brother. Much respect. You know, but how'd they get in the caves though? Right? How'd they get up on the mountains? Ask yourself all these things. How did they get there? Middle Earth is the only conjecture that makes sense. Believe it or not, it's the only thing that makes sense. It's the only thing that adds up to being worth even breathing and talking about when you talk about where other people came from. It makes sense when I say that people survived the flood in the middle of the planet and they came back up here with their Middle Earth feuds and their Middle Earth beefs with them. They brought all that stuff with them. Every dirty piece of it. Every dirty piece of it. So it's easy to say whatever, but Middle Earth is actually pretty a strong. I mean, got a very strong foundation for it. Uh, 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 is it just me or is it awkward? Does it strike anyone else awkward that at the same time or within 20 verses from when you read Genesis 10:25, and in the days of Peleg, the earth was divided, and then you get to reading that the Most High scattered everybody abroad, right? So once the earth was divided, so number one, how can you scatter people if the earth is all one piece? They can all just eventually get back together. But if you divide the land masses, separate the land masses now, right? And then you scatter the people from one place to the other, they're discouraged, number one, to traveling, to doing all that. And then number two, obviously, these things that have been locked away in the middle of caverns, giant hands made caverns that they could get inside, right? That took 100 years to dig. The same 100 years that Noah had to build his boat, they had 100 years to prep and get ready. So you're talking about technologies that no longer exist on the planet, that they're trying to recreate right now, were used to dig into the earth. A lot of different stuff. Um, Once again, Middle Earth is not popular because they think you're crazy to say that. They think I'm crazy, but they'll say that the scientists know something, but then they're talking about Australopithecus. But where's Australopithecus at? Where's any of these little monkey creature things at? Where are they at? Where do they exist? See, this is why I like to have these conversations, because I know people like to think that they're smart. You know, I like to think I'm smart from time to time. But you know what else I like to think I am? I'm a really good copycat. Oh no, YouTube is messing with the feed. They always mess with the feed. Always. Right, Tammy. Those caves didn't do that to themselves. Can you dig it? They didn't do that to themselves. So that's why I'm always adamant about this. This is all we got. This is it, you know. And earlier, I can't salute y'all enough. You know, 1,000 times I salute you guys for not bothering those knuckleheads that came in here. I didn't know they were here at first, but you know, they were saying this, that, and the other. You know, where are who at? Lincoln, you talking about the knuckleheads who were here, or are you talking about the people in Middle Earth? I'm lost. IB's lost. I'll wait for you. See, this is a process. weeding out process. You know, we're not here to have 50, 60, 70 people watching. It's bad enough that um, before any of y'all got here, somehow, some way, shape, or form, two knuckleheads were in the chat room almost when everybody else was here. You know, it's just crazy. We got Peckerwood Joey, the cave hunter, return, and then some guy calling himself faggot. Wow. Anyhow, once again, I'm not sure what I've done to adorn the unwanted attention. Oh, where'd they go? Oh no, it's fine. No, bro. You aren't lagging, bro. There's a normal delay in all this stuff. That's fine. You know what I mean? There's a small delay in all of it. But the Ocelotopithecus. I don't know where they went. I don't know if the white man killed them all off because they could talk, or they never existed, which is what I really think. And I mean, we have to base it out. You get what I'm saying? We have to base it out to what we want it to be. I want it to be everything that they want it to be. So that way, when I present to them certain arguments, they can't. Oh, those guys are just knuckleheads, you know? They're not subscribed to me. So, you know, I don't know who those guys are. They're just two guys from YouTube who apparently show up on live streams where there's only like 5 or 4 people watching and say absurdities. Like, oh, Australopithecus, that's a that's the first monkey man, sister. And then after that is the Homo erectus, the so-called first thing to stand up upright. Then Homo habilis, who stood up a little more upright, the ability to process certain level of thoughts. Then you have a Homo sapien. They claim that a Homo sapien may have actually been the first scientifically to have been introduced to other organic protein that comes from sentient life. Homo sapien is the progression of the protein, therefore changing the brain of these people. Once again, then you have a branch off species of Cro-Magnon, who is not exactly Homo sapiens, but they believe that they are a subgroup under the Homo sapien group and a splinter of another group into the Homo sapien group. So they don't know exactly what the Cro-Magnon is. And then from the Cro-Magnon and the Homo sapien, they believe you have the modern human. So without getting carried away with all that stuff, I understand these things. So no, they're not making up stuff. No. This is their evolution. This is their evolution. Does the white man not tell you that he's still 20% rhesus monkey? So the evolution that we're seeing is not evolution of life, it's their evolution. The white man, the black Middle Earth things, the white, black, red, yellow, brown Middle Earth things are telling their story. You see what I'm saying? Their stories are all different. Some of them come from monkeys. Some of them were made from the dirt of the ground or clay mud, just like the original Adamic creation, but they don't have soul constitution, normal soul constitution. They don't have that ability because their deity is not the Most High. Their deity is a fallen one who had the ability to give them at best a little spark. And then the rest we can see is genetic history. So this is why, once again, that's right. Many of their different, but you have to understand that they all don't come from the same fallen father, so they're not going to have the same story of confusion to give you. You know, if the Hopi Indian tell you that they come from underground, that's where they came. Wherever people tell you their story is, that's the truth. That's the truth, dude. There's hundreds of fallen, hundreds of expelled angels, hundreds of them. That's their story. That's the truth. They're sticking to it. I'm sticking to it. There's no need of. That's right. Many stories. Many stories. I'm with you. I'm with you also, Lincoln, because this is where we have to be as people. You know, see, this is what I wanted the chat to turn into, right here. This is what I would like to do. You know, I'm missing Roderick Smith, you know, and Adrienne Smith, and a couple other of our cohorts, but it is what it is. What up, Andre Wickham? What up? But we're as a people, we have to make that bridge, that gap, where just like me and Andre were talking a few days ago, and I'm going to make a video, then I'm going to produce it, where I just want to show y'all the different genealogies, the different groups of so-called Black people they use, and combine them together, and how even when you combine all of them together, even the most complicated combinations, they're still not. They still don't look like the people that are in certain regions of the world where they can't explain why this Black guy looks totally different than this Black guy. He looks totally different, like a whole other species of person. And that's because he is. Rightfully so, he is, or she is. And there needs to be a level of understanding, Levy. Like, for example, once again, in my family, my mama's side, her grandmother, her mother's mother, was a Black Indian woman. My father's side, hold on, boom. My grandmother 4 or 5 times back is a white Irish woman. Did you hear me? Right. So my maternal genetics are at a certain point gentilic all the way, Middle Earth all the way. There's no getting around it. My fraternal roots, no, but it's almost just like the same story for Sem, Ham, Japhet, and then their children. Because if you believe that their mother was from the Adamite bloodline, you're sadly mistaken. She was from the first people's bloodline. But since I'm talking about it, that's how white man claims to be related to you. And that's how you will use certain DNA tests to say that we're all the same people, because maternally, most species, only special humanoid species don't have the maternal connection of the first creation. That is what connects most life on this planet. Maternally, they're connected by the first creation. Paternally, their father could be from an Adamite to the first creation to a fallen one, to a creation of a fallen one in an animal, or a fallen one in a person. That is why they claim maternal lineage. That is why. That's why. Because at least they have the connection then. You see, there's no connection fraternally, and they know this. And they know this. I know this is going to sound so foul, but y'all do recognize that there are like female angels. Like it's hard to believe that there's masculine and feminine spirits and there's not masculine and feminine angels. So to believe that, once again, it's the same thing with the slave narrative. They want you to believe that only dude angels came down here and were sleeping with chicks. You don't think there were women angels coming down here and committing the same debauchery with men. Please stop. Where do you think the real concepts of like succubuses and succubi come from? They didn't just conjure themselves up. And Lilith, being the first woman creation with the soul, can't possibly supplement for every single one of these things. Um, I, I, I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe that her power level was what. Once again, she already has the soul within her, so she can't be given a soul. She can't be given one. She already has one. Doesn't make sense. What makes even less sense in the same line of thought is just to go and then let's just talk about the seed of the serpent real quick while I'm here. Um, if Lilith is a serpent, which I do believe she is, her seed from specific fathers has a specific look. So some of the seed might look hell just like me, just like y'all. And then some of the seed might look like Russell Westbrook. You see what I'm saying? Then some of the seed might look like who's a black man? I don't look nothing like Eddie Griffin. Here we go. Who grow a little facial hair. See what I'm saying? This is the point of these conversations. Once again, Lincoln, we have to speak, If at any time y'all ever want to just, once again, like want to talk right here and now, I'll throw a link in there. And even if it's just for 2 seconds, you just want to come in for 2 seconds, say your piece, you know what I mean? Dip out, whatever. I'm totally fine with that, Um, no, this is just us. This is just we're just having a conversation. We're just having a conversation. You know, I see the sentiments. I understand the sentiments that are being put forth, and it's more legitimate and it's more easier for me to just address it right here and now, as opposed to trying to make a video. I can just say what I know about it and then tell you what I don't know about it, and then what I'll look forward to researching, so that way I can get back to you. If I feel like what I told you is not adequate, even if you feel like it is, and then if you feel like it's not adequate, then especially in that motion, I would love to move forward and do things like that. So do I. So do I. I feel the same way, Tammy. But it's just weird, Uh, it's just weird. But I try to be fair and let everybody, say whatever, and then I try to address what like right now we're talking, so I'm addressing you because you got whatever to say. If somebody has something to say, I would most definitely take that in. You know what I mean? And not overlook them, or treat this as if what you're speaking on is more important or holds precedent. Because that's not the way to be. That's not the way to be. We're not gonna grow as a people like that. I'm not looking to build anything. I'm looking to grow. And you don't build a tree, you grow a tree. Can you dig it? You do not build the tree, you grow the tree. And you don't even do that. You just hope that the conditions are right for the tree to grow. So I'm just hoping that the conditions for all this is proper, and hopefully one day, once again, this will be a conducive thing for us to do before we see the end of this place come down. Don't fret, y'all. Don't fret. You got nothing to worry about. You've got nothing to worry about, because our people are right now, as we speak, they're every day, like Roger Spice says, people are waking up, you know, and whether or not YouTube tries to find some kind of funny way to get me off of YouTube or whatever, I've uh I've decided that I'll do something like this for sure, because I've already been able to dabber down the kind of content that I've been able to to upload. I've dabbered down on a lot of that these last couple months. So I'm trying to figure out how to do live streams on the MacBook. Not that it's not the same; it's just as easy. But I just need to figure out some of the smaller formalities, so that way when I want to show stuff and do stuff, I can do that. You know, we are in well, man. But you know what though, brother? It's to be healed. It's to be healed for a reason, and but there is no good without bad. You know, so in order for some people to become whole again, other people are going to be totally destroyed. You know, and I know it seems like it's messed up to say that, but that's really the reality. You know, in order for there to be true growth among these people, there's going to be a lot of people who don't invariably get to come with the community of people, that collective whole, you know. Um, and once again, for many good reasons, because they have, since they've been here, they've done no good for nobody. Haven't even done, I mean, how can you be so bad that you've just been all bad to yourself? You've just been all bad to everybody. You've just been garbage. That's crazy. But this is the kind of country that we're living in. This is the world that we're living in, you know, where we have people who are really dedicated to this type of thinking. Uh, but you know what though? But you know what though? We have to stay focused on what we're doing. You know, we have to stay focused on what we're doing. It's a blessing just to once again just to sit here and to be able to congeal and speak and just chop it up. This is the fun part. You know what I'm saying? This is the fun part. This is I learned probably. I know you guys are gonna be like this. How is this even possible? But I learned so much. Sometimes I think I'll be learning just as much, if not more, from when we do these, just like these interactions, because it gives me things to think about as to how to better to temper the message. And I know it seems like it's awkward, but it's like just to just watching this. Yep, nice. Like that. That's right. I feel and keep hearing that we are in restoration season. Yes, true. All these little things that people don't recognize, like it's just one word, or it's just several words, or it's just some words that are all put together, but it's like the formation of the words, the reasoning behind why the words were put there. All these things come to my mind. I think about people. Uh, I try to think about people. I try to be outside of myself. You know, it's easy for me to be, outside of myself. I practice being selfish, like I told Andre Wickham. I have to practice levels of it because I won't normally be selfish. I won't normally just, hoard everything to myself. So, you know, these are mechanisms that other people practice, that other people do. Um, I didn't go into the fact of at how during the Maccabean period there was a guy who tried to take over, who wanted to call himself the king, and then somehow the people were supposed to be made indignant by it because they said the Most High is their king. But we all know that's not true because the people ordained men to be their kings, long before that ever happened. So it's like knowing what we're seeing. and analyzing it and giving it a chance, you see, is the best thing. And I don't always know what I'm seeing, right? So I have to analyze it and to give it a chance. You see? So then that way I may know what it is that I'm seeing, that I may have understanding. So being able to see your words is the same as seeing the words in the book that tell the story, because these words tell their own story. Um, um, the angry Gentiles that were in here earlier, their words tell a story. When they come in here with so much anger and rage, it tells me something. It tells me everything. You know. Oh, I'm learning too. As much, but once again, though, I get to learn just by talking about these things. That I'm glad y'all keep me sharp. Let me say that, because some of these things I wouldn't even really talk about. But it's the fact that it's still fresh information to somebody else, and and it's, I don't know how to say it. I don't want to put it. I feel growth being around our. Yes, yes, yes. I know exactly what you're saying. You know, I don't know how to word everything all the time, but this is another reason why I enjoy the live stream, because it's just an all-out honest effort. You can't hide nothing, uh, which is why I don't hide myself off the camera. That's an option, to not show myself and just to talk, but that's not authentic all the time. I don't really feel like that. You should live stream and then not show yourself. You know, it's the whole point of live streaming, is to show yourself. It's like having a personal TV station or something like that. You know, and it's a blessing. Once again, it's a blessing. It's an honor to have people who actually would not mind wanting to watch what it is that they may have already thought about. They have their own feelings on. They won't be swayed. They can't be changed. Nothing. And yet they'll entertain this because they can take from it. And maybe what they take from it is enough for them to see that, what, I'm not trying to hurt nobody's salvation. I'm not trying to hurt their spiritual journey. I just want people to be able to look at the information that they've been giving us and give the information a chance. Don't be a fool, don't be a sucker, but give it a chance once you have it in the right light. Once you know what it is that you're dealing with, you know, based on circumstances, then give it a chance, because you have to know first. I would be know where I'm at if that's right. Always going to be relevant. Always, always. But I was just say I just don't know where I would be at. If I didn't analyze, uh, or didn't take in certain parts of different people's messages. Prime example. There's a gentleman by the name of what's this dude's name, man? It's like Angry MGTOW or something like that, right? Man, like a month and a half ago, he made a video about another individual. Now, I wasn't even talking about what he was talking about. I had said something about something totally different. And I was just telling him that all black people weren't the same. This is the same thing I'm talking about now. And I was saying that all black people aren't the same. And the dude tried to down talk me with some pseudoscience nonsense. And then when I was like, man, forget what you're talking about, I was like, F that. He's like, oh, here you go, acting like a woman and this, that, and the other. And the moment he compared me to a chick, Like my first thing was to, just to go all in on them. But then I just let them know. I was like, man, go F yourself. And then I explained everything I was talking about within genetic constitution and structure. Once again, people people are too quick to take the whole side of something and not look at anything else. So you're telling me that the white man knows more about Makuzi Indians than Makuzi Indians? You're telling me the white man knows more about Cherokee Indians than the Cherokee? Or for that matter, any race in the world? Then that race knows about themselves, then that group, then that nation, that tribe knows about themselves? Are you serious? The only group of people who have less knowledge of self, or just two. One is the African Americans, and the number two, right, are white people who don't know anything about their actual history. They don't know anything. This is why they ride slavery and other parts of European history so hard, because they don't really actually know their history. They don't have any because they're not humans. But that's neither here nor there. See, there's going to be a day of reckoning where we all get to see who's right and we all get to see who's wrong. That day's coming. That day is coming. That day is going to come. And when that day finally does get here, right on. And when that day does get here, we're going to see. We're going to see. Because everybody wants to be uh, uh, in the green, we're going to say, right? Or in the black, right? Everybody wants to be right there in the zone. But it's like, and then they want to say what everybody is shaking their head to. Everybody's diddy bopping their head to. Oh, that sounds good. That sounds good. We shall see, y'all. And don't be afraid come that day. Just know that in that day, it is that day. Did you hear what I just said? Just know what it is that day. It is that day. Don't play yourself dumb. Don't play yourself stupid and get yourself hurt. Acknowledge it. Right. Right. Analyze it. Because the circumstance is going to give you the ability for you to be able to see that. Do that much for yourself, people. Do that much for yourself. You owe that to you to be good to you. You do. You owe it to yourself to be able to see that day. So until then, don't do nothing crazy. Don't go out here and get killed by no police officers. Don't go out here and hurt nobody who don't deserve to be hurt. For anybody listening, I know it shouldn't be none of us, but if you out here selling poison to your own people, you need to stop doing that. You need to stop doing that. I know you're thinking, what the hell else am I going to do? Do anything but that. Anything but that. Anything but that. Because I have a hard time thinking that. I mean, I'm going to be real with you. And I've sold drugs before. And I've sold drugs to family members. So it's different. How is it that a person like that wants to be accepted into the ranks? Will gladly give their people poison. You would gladly turn your people away from the Most High, yet you want the Most High to embrace you. Does that even make sense? I hope it doesn't. I pray it doesn't. Because that's the point. That's what I'm saying. Is that for these people who are living these lives, these men, these women that have a different sexual partner every month or every week, some of them almost every day, Uh, and these people who are, some of them who practice homosexuality, some of them sleep with animals. Uh, some of them sleep with their close family members. And they do this, they practice these things on purpose, and they choose to do these things. Some people kill people and enjoy it. Some people write policies into law that affect other people's lives adversely. I couldn't really say what one person does more than the other. You see, I'm not really in a position to say that. I don't know what you do per se, but I know you do something you're not supposed to do. And if that something is something that can keep you from salvation, stop. Just stop. If what you're doing has the ability to take away another person's salvation because you can corrupt them, stop. Stop. That's the thing about being strong, is that sometimes it hurts to be strong. That's the thing about it. And that's why they're dependent on you, because you have a level of endurance and perseverance and fortitude that can be looked at as admirable. Trust me, if you're lending your ear to me right now, you have at least 3 good qualities that any leader should have. And any leader only needs 1 good quality. Trust me, but you have at least 3. Any real leader only needs 1 quality to make them a leader. Just one. Just one actual real quality. But you have at least 3. Trust me. Probably have more than that, but I know for a fact you have at least 3 major qualities that make people look at you and say, that's a good person. Despite what you've done in your life, that you think that you've done is wrong, because you hold yourself to that level. I don't hold you to the level that you hold you to. You see what I'm saying? I hold Demetrius to the Demetrius standard. I can't hold somebody else to the Demetrius standard. It's not going to work out like that. Wavy Ben Israel can't hold Demetrius to the Wavy Ben Israel standard. Only Wavy Ben can you dig it? Andre Wickham, Tammy Browser, Lincoln Adama, we're all only capable of holding ourselves to these standards, to our standard, which is why it's so important to be the best that you can while you can for other people, because there is somebody looking at you. There's always somebody watching. Always. Always. You have no idea the people you can inspire. You have no idea. And it's just weird that I'm starting to slowly accept, the role that I've played in so many different people's lives. I mean, like, I've seen more people get off drugs in the last few years than I've ever seen a rehab clinic, dude. And I'm not saying that I got a patent proof program that's gonna for sure get them clean, but I do things that are different. You know, there ain't nothing wrong with loving your people. There's nothing wrong with loving your people. You know, I think that's the issue now, is that we're not in love with anything we have to do. Love it. Love the fact that people look to you for guidance and for hope. Love it. Embrace it. I'm just now starting to love it and embrace it. You know, I have this thing where I just try not to get too involved in myself, so that way I can always just come down on myself with the hammer. You know, but I'm learning not to be so hard on myself. Still critical, just not so hard. These are things I'm learning. You know, at 27, and people are like, "That's still young," but I'm like, at 27, I can say, like, I wish I learned it sooner. All these things that I know, I wish I learned them sooner. I know it sounds crazy to say that, but that's all I know. I wish I learned it sooner so I could have applied what I knew before, changed things in my life, you know. But that's not how it works. So the going forward pattern is always going to be the best thing you can do. Once again, if it's not helpful for you, stop doing it. Do something different. If it's going to eventually hurt you, know that you have to make a time for an exit. And there needs to be a time that you know that I'm done with this. I can no longer carry on like this. You know, some of my best friends, like when I say some of my best friends, man, they like, yeah, fighting, yeah. Some of my best friends are they'll never be normal people ever again. You know what I mean? Like they've done too many drugs. Some of them have done bad drugs where they're not the same person they used to be, you know? And it's like once again, you just wish you knew what you knew before. But that's why going forward is so epic and it's so important to do it properly and to do it right and to love people. Uh, I try not to hate people as much as I hate what they do. On the off chance a person does something so grotesque enough that I hate them, like I just hate them, I just don't hate the activity, then they deserve the hate. And once again, I can't tell you who does or does not deserve for you to hate them. But that goes for you too. That goes for me. That means that anything that I've done that warrants hate, I deserve that hate. And I work for that. You see? Hate's not always a bad thing. Sometimes hate keeps your priorities clear. Hate makes you unselfish, but hate makes you driven too. Love can do all the same things I just said. Now, isn't that crazy? Love can do the same things, but the hate of something can do that. And sometimes all I'm saying is that it's going to take that, the hate of what you've done, what you see, what you experience, what you live, to be the better person. I hate a lot of stuff that I've done. I hate myself sometimes. I don't just hate the things, I hate myself. But because I temper my hate with understanding of my ignorance in the moment or just understanding evil. I might have just been evil in that moment. You see what I'm saying? Like, and just being honest with myself to say that, you know, that I'm not an evil man, but I did something that was evil, or I did something that was wicked, or unrighteous, or ungodly, abominable. And to say that this is how you're going to be better with your people, because you can pass righteous judgment unto yourself. Righteous judgment isn't what makes you feel better. Righteous judgment isn't what everybody can agree on. Okay. Justice is not fair. The fair use clause is not called the justice use clause. Hence the fourth. Well, once again, you don't fair something, you justify it. They're not the same. And you pass judgment on yourself so that way you can justify what it is that you're doing. But have mercy on yourself too, and have mercy on others because they need it. People need mercy. People need your mercy in particular. You know why they need your mercy? Because you might be the only person with $3, three loose dollars in your pocket that day, and they need those three loose dollars. They actually need them, and you giving them that little bit of change, bro, where you think that's nothing, but you really actually just changed the narrative in their life that day, and maybe you changed it forever, but you'll never know that because that's a small action. But if you can't look at yourself and say, you know what? I've had days where I've been down like that. I ain't had no money, and I wish somebody would just give me some money. Not saying I deserve to be given anything. Not saying I deserve anything, but just that it's the ability to do so, and it's the ability to once again, it takes you first to do that. What up? What up, Roger Spies? How you doing, bro? But yeah, it's up to us. It's up to us to do first, to judge ourselves inwardly and outwardly, to commit to justice to ourselves, but to also temper mercy to ourselves. You can't be so hard on yourself that you wake up in freaking tears, people. You know what I'm saying? Because you just can't. No, you can't be that hard on yourself. You're gonna cry yourself to death. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna give yourself a broken heart. Appreciate you. Appreciate that, Roger Spice. Just just doing the thing. But it's a it's a I don't know. It's awkward because once again, when we don't do this for ourselves, it's hard for us to have mercy on another person. Righteous judgment. You should judge a person before you do something for them. You should say, you know what? I wonder if they've done anything good for another person ever in their life. Ever. There's nothing wrong with you saying, you know what? I don't want to give to somebody that I don't think would do for another person. But then there's also nothing wrong with the exact opposite of you wanting to give to somebody who you knew and know won't do for another person. And it's just, this is why I love this right here. Ryder Spice showed up and it was just like, everybody like got out their seats to like give high fives and hugs, like that's how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be, who that nigga, you know, which is why I don't like going to other people's live streams because sometimes you speak up and people want to attack you and bat you down, and that's not cool. You don't win your people like that. You know, I'm trying to I'm trying to not win black people, but I would like to win their attention for just a moment. Because if I get their attention for a moment and I can just plant the seed, they'll do all the rest because they're going to go out of their way to try to prove me wrong. You know, people will go out of their way to try to prove you wrong. But plant the seed so that way they have something to look for. Plant several seeds if they let you. Because what they're going to do is go and test every single piece of that. But it's just how it's going to be. We have to experience these things. They're going to be like that. You know, it's a blessing. It's a blessing once again to be in you guys' presence. I'm in y'all presence. When you guys show up, this is what makes a live stream alive. It doesn't matter how many people come, but it's you guys make this whole thing happen. This is once again, this is an effort. You know, uh, this is an effort. This is a part of that effort right here. You know, and when we do it here, that means that you can go outside tomorrow. And I'm not saying look for the most disgruntled looking brother or sister and try to give him a hug. No. But you know what, though? Speak to that brother who looks like he would love for somebody to speak to him right now. Speak to that sister. She's a little heavy set, right? So she's a little down in her confidence. Or that brother who he might feel he's not up to par, whether it be his apparel or his looks, right? We have to, as a people, reach out to each other, you know. It's just like you said, we must continue this effort, you know. It's it's unfortunate that more black people, especially guys with the channels, especially guys with the audiences to do so, aren't aren't talking about any of this stuff. They talk about it in their own ways, but they're really everybody has this broad stroke of the brush approach with black people. We're all the same. We're all the same. We're all the same some more. And the few that'll say that we're different, they have these other approaches where they don't want us to be the chosen people of the Most High. Yay, they don't want anyone to be chosen. And they want us to conform to being one of several groups of so-called black peoples, which I won't even go into how demeaning that is as a person, but how as a person, this is why it takes us talking like this. Because it takes one of y'all going to somebody else's comment section one day and just listening and just speaking to them and seeing the anger, and as opposed to tempering with more anger, right? You throw some water on the fire. Or sometimes vice versa, for a subject that deserves to be fanned, that deserves to be spoken on, you put the flame on it. Because we must continue to make this effort, as was so eloquently put by Lincoln Adama. Can you dig it? Because we must continue to make this effort. And it is an ongoing, continuous effort. The effort that the Most High has made to his people has been an ongoing, continuous effort. So, much like a woman who leaves her husband and comes back to him, and he accepts her back because he loves her and never wanted her to leave in the first place. Though he's hurt by her actions, he still wants to be with this woman. It is no different for the Most High's people who committed spiritual fornication or spiritual adultery, whichever one you want to say, when they took it upon themselves to praise and bow down to so-called other deities, so-called other gods. It's amazing. Um, just like Brother Lamont Sims, uh, he popped back up in here because and he just popped into my head, but he's asked a lot of very interesting questions, and to be very frank and forward, and to be honest and truthful, the brother's questions are justified because we've been told so many lies that, like, I have to remember we've been lied to for a long time. So the rage, the anger, the confusion, the frustration, all of it is all totally understandable. You know what I mean? It's all totally, it makes sense to me. You know, it makes sense to me. It makes sense why people wake up every day angry, and bitter. It makes sense to me. Is that right that they do? Who am I? But it makes sense. Do I agree? No, I don't agree. But do I understand? I most definitely understand. Because it's difficult to watch people that you love destroy themselves. And then you find yourself destroying yourself just a little bit to take the edge off of them. Full blown oblivion mode, full blown eviscerated mode. It's done, and you know it's done for them. But you find yourself now in the same cycle. See, it's a dangerous thing. It's a dangerous thing. And we're all taught that you got to have this kind of job, make this kind of money, do this kind of work, and this is what's going to make people respect you. This is going to make people, flock to you and come around you and be around you. And that stuff couldn't be the furthest from the truth. It couldn't be the furthest. I sell hot dogs for a living. I sell food for a living. Okay? You know how many times I've been called an effing hot dog guy? They have no idea I do live streams like this. They have no idea that, once again, I don't know who said it before me in 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 this lifetime, but I'm quite sure Noah's triplets is something that, even though it's quite painstakingly obvious within scripture, your man's, right? But I sell hot dogs. That's what I am today. Just some lowly nigga. But if I let that bother me and destroy my mission, right? And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna come out here and sell some crack instead. I could get killed. I could go to prison, right? Get robbed, catch a funky disease, dealing with dirty, nasty women. There's all kinds of stupid things that could happen. So because of that, should I just be happy that I'm a hot dog guy and be like, you know what? You know what, God? I'll just take this station? Or should I just say, you know what? My people didn't do right in the first place. We're not at home. We deserve to be persecuted to some degree, to remember the the utter the utter humiliation we brought to the highest heavens when our people committed spiritual fornication against the Most High. You see, and and that's all there is to it. You know, you're a funny guy, Roger Spice. I'm just a I'm just a lowly messenger, just a lowly messenger, trying to figure it all out while I'm still alive. And if I can't do anything else, man, give my people something to hope for. You know, there is most definitely something to hope for. There is. I promise you, there is something to hope for. There are things to look forward to. It may not feel like that. It may not ever seem like that. You know, my eyes are watering up right now just thinking about this. Like, because my whole life has been like that. You know. Hey, 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 hey! What up? Hey, man, Roderick Smith, bro, man, bro. May you and Adrian be safe, bro. Man, may the Most High be with you guys, bro. Much love, man. Much love, brother. It's don't man. You know what I'm saying? Don't ever feel like that, bro. We gonna catch up. We are gonna catch up. You know how we do. But but yeah. That's this is who we are. You know, this is who I am, and there's a level of I don't know what to call it these days. Like, they're not just hopeless. Excuse me. Thank you. People aren't just people aren't just people aren't just hopeless. Okay, good. But you know, if y'all got to tuck it in or however, you know what I'm saying. I most definitely understand, family. Like, I most definitely overstand. Trust me. Uh, it's been a it has been a journey. Uh, it has been a journey. It has been a blessing from the Most High. Once again, we're just sitting there kicking it. Ain't nobody talking about debauchery or none of that. This has been a conversation where we're focused on something. And it doesn't seem like that to somebody who's just tuning in, who's just listening just right now, you know what I mean? But anybody who knows us, who knows how we do things, this is what we do. We just talk because this is what's missing in the world. You know what I'm saying? Love you too, brother. We love y'all, man. Man, we love y'all right back, bro. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's we do this. This is something that is positive. Ain't nobody talking about going out, taking to the streets and bearing arms or none of that. This is about self-improvement on the smallest level. And you take it easy, Martin. You be, hey man, much love, little bro, man. We love you, bro. You take it easy, man. Have a great day, bro. Man, have a blessed day, bro. Straight up. And don't get in no stuff, man. Don't get in no stuff. We know how it is. We all know how it is. We all been there. Trust me. But it's a it's a very very it's a very very I don't know what kind of situation it is. Oh, like I don't know. It's like this whole situation here. You know what I mean? Like we're all speaking to to one person before they go out. You know, like as if we're like some kind of like therapy session. You know what I mean? Like everybody say hi to Martin, and we're like, hi Martin. You know what I mean? Like, or hi Andre or whatever. But it's just like if we had this kind of love for each other, and we love you too, brother. And we will most definitely be back again. You know this. But if we had this kind of love for each other outwardly, and I'm talking about now once again, and now if you want to use black in general and broad stroke it, right? That's okay. You see what I'm saying? That's okay. Because then there's respect there. But there's no respect on a level where, once again, I say hello and then you say F me. Oh, really? You see what I'm saying? And then it doesn't make it any better that the person who said hello is an Israelite and the person that said F you is a Middle Earth Gentile, or vice versa. It makes it no better in that situation where this so-called Israelite has no manners, no coup, right? And they would rather not speak back to a person who, no matter what their genetic constitution is, they were cordial enough to acknowledge them. Yet this person can't get the acknowledgement back. And we wonder why things are messed up. You see what I'm saying? But first, it just takes, once again, it takes us treating each other, who you know are your people, first and foremost, like they're your people. Even when they act crazy, Sure, there's tough love. Sure, I agree with tough love. I agree with tough love. I understand the need for it, but I also understand tempering tough love once again with mercy. You temper it with mercy. That's how tough love works. You win tough love by tempering with mercy. You don't win a tough love game by trying to force your way on somebody or force your ways onto the people. Let me tell you one of the biggest days of my life. I was 18 years old, and we had just got done doing what is called the Crucible in the Marine Corps, right? And this is like the day after, and my feet are aching like I don't know. I mean, when I say my feet have never felt like ever since then, before that, the way my feet, I mean, like it was like asking a guy who had never walked before to just start walking. It was just so painful. And I remember uh there was these two boys, two guys, two young dudes. And once again, this is one of my more happy moments. Once again, this overreaches everything that I've done. One of my most proud moments as a person. And it was in there fighting, and it was Prony and Coffee. Somebody had called somebody B word. It didn't go down too well. And I just remember Coffee went to punch Prony. I mean, he if he had connected with this punch, he probably would have knocked some teeth out of Prony's mouth. And I remember just grabbing and putting Coffee in a rear naked. I mean, instantly. And I mean, put a nice tight one on him. And once he calmed down, I let him go. And he turned around and he looked at me and he said, "Thank you, Jones." Of all the things he said to me, trust me, I did not see that coming. And Coffee talked to me later, and he said, "You man, you know what?" He said, "I'm glad you stopped me from doing that, man." He said, "I got some bad news from home, and my dad died." And he said, "I'm just having a really hard day, man. I'm having a really long day." And I felt bad for him because our Coffee's a white boy. This is a white Coffee, not a black Coffee. And he was so humble about his approach, right? Where at first I was kind of angry with Coffee and Prony. I instantly was able to bring myself down and be like, you know what? And I level with bro, because I didn't tell anybody when I was there, when I had got picked up with that company. And I level with him and I said, man, my cousin got murdered while I was here. And when I say I love my cousin Shalona, love my cousin, man. And that broke me. Talking about that stuff, makes me want to cry. But I just remember, telling him like, bro, like it's gonna hurt for a long time. I remember just telling him it's gonna hurt for a long time, man. You know, and just let it go. Just if you gotta cry, dude, let that stuff go, bro. Don't hold it there and let it kill you. And I remember being 18 and telling this to this guy. When I said this is one of my more proud moments because he was really going through something. You know what I mean? Really going through something like all the way out of his character. All the way out of his character, out of his normal way of being. And then it took a moment of, I don't want to hurt you, but I will to keep you from hurting somebody else and possibly getting yourself hurt. And and being able to temper the needed words in that situation and actually be there for somebody because when my cousin was killed, I had a couple people that were there for me, but nobody really had any like words of consolation because when my cousin got killed, I was injured. I was in the recruit rehab, the Marine recruit rehab program or whatever, MRP, Marine rehab program, whatever. But anyway, uh, and in that place, people trying to get well again and then leave, and then get up out of there. People are trying to get boggled down, and there was like rules to this stuff, like not getting involved in people's emotional entanglements, and like while the rules, once again, while those rules existed for the sake and purposes that they did, when I was picked up by another company and then things changed, once again, like my whole mind changed. Seeing somebody else go through something similar, because nobody I was there with suffered the kind of loss that I suffered. So, and it happened all once again. We had just went through what was arguably the climax of our training, and this is the day after it. And now you guys want to act stupid, but like I said, my feet were hurt. Oh my goodness, my feet were hurting. And this is the same thing that we're going through now, people, with our people. You've had a long day at work. You're just trying to go to 7-Eleven real quick, go inside there, get you the 2 for $2.22 waters real fast, and dip back out. And you walk outside. There's a brother at the kind of sort of leaning on your car. He wants some money. You only got the smallest bill you got is a $5 bill. You don't got no change. See what I'm saying? That's when you make the decision. That's when you make the executive decision. Is this $5 going to break me? Right? And then, just like putting a brother in a proverbial rear naked, right? You allow that brother the chance to hear your gripe while you do good for him. And you say, man, I work hard for my money, right? Just like everybody else that come here work for it. And your mother and father didn't raise you to be like this. Reminding people of who they are is sometimes the best thing for them. I've had people come and be like, bro, I got clean because of you. That's the craziest thing in the world, for somebody to say that they got clean off of something that you said or that you did for them. Like, you just think you're just doing, and once again, don't do it with malintent. You know what I mean? You don't have to be, all super duper happy to be giving somebody your money, but don't do it with malintent. You don't have to, once again, you don't have to be smiling or none of that stuff, but don't do it like, man, I hate this person. Oh, no, get out of that. Get out of that. Get out of that. See what I'm saying? I didn't grab coffee up because I hated coffee. I grabbed coffee because he's supposed to be a Marine. The other guy's trying to fight as a Marine. We're not supposed to be fighting each other. So why would you do that? See what I'm saying? So it's the same concept of why would you make a situation with this person that's already a bad situation worse for them by saying or doing something to them that's gonna, be harder on them. You always got to take care of your people, no matter what, because our people are all we have. That's it. You don't have anybody else. And until the Most High does that Egypt thing here in America, where he separates us from all the other black people, we're not going to be different. We're going to be niggas just like everybody else. Suffice it to say, I hate to say it like that. I hate to say it like that. But until that day, until that time comes, all you can do is know who you are and know that you're not anything like the people that they're trying to present you as. Once again, how can you rent garments if they're showing you pictures of people who never wore clothes? How does that make sense? How can you rent some biblical garments if you don't wear clothes? Am I tripping? See what I'm saying? So because of these kind of things, we have to accept what they're saying as far as they're saying that. I accept what they're saying. I don't agree with them at all, but I accept it. I accept it because that's the truth to them for right now. And until I'm able to press on the narrative, until we as a people press on the narrative and say, well, where did you all come from? How could Noah's sons, who were triplets, genetically the same people, have birthed children if their wives are from the same tribe? How could they have birthed people who are of different phenotype when they all come from the same genotype? How does that even make sense? Right? And then how is it that once again all these other looking people got here? Where did they come from? If they're telling you that they used to live in the mountains, well, how did you get to the mountains? If they're telling you that they used to live in the caves in the mountains, how did you get in the caves? How did you get there? How? And explain it to me, please. See, because unless you guys start to take a step back and say that giants and freaks of nature and all these other non-human things are very real, we're going to be stuck here for a long time. You see, it's going to take you telling another brother the truth or another sister the truth about what it is that they're dealing with. People who are not humans with black, white, yellow, red, yellow, and brown skin they are not people. I don't give a damn what they say. It, nope. And before y'all be like, oh, my roommate, y'all seen him. This guy's skin is thicker than most people right now walking around. He got thick skin. He not worried about nothing I'm saying. So don't worry about me getting nobody panties up in a bunch. Because if he didn't want to be here, he wouldn't be here. Can you dig it? He would have stopped paying rent a year ago, 2 years ago. All right, we're going on year 3 on our lease. So it's just one of those things. Please, please share it with your people. And then when you can, share with every Gentile there is. Share with all of them. Let them know, bro, I know something about you that you don't know. If you don't know how to break it down to them scientifically, I got a few different videos that break it down just fine. One of the best videos I got is the hidden ancestry video. It'll do just fine with having them question their own genealogy. Once again, you don't have to be you don't have to kill them with words. You just have to make people think. Making you think is going to be much more dangerous than making you put your hands on somebody. You know how many little nerves, how many little explosions are going on in your head when you think? Right. Come on now. So it's just one of those things. I'm willing to say what many of us don't want to say. What I know you say to your friends to their faces when they're right in front of you, what you say to people when they piss you off. But I'm saying to say it to just the regular folks who don't think that you know, who you think that they don't know that you think that they don't know. Get all of them. Got to tell them all. Because, and then you tell them what you know about it. You don't tell them what I know. You tell them what you know. But once again, if it's beyond something that you think you can explain, point them in the right direction. I don't have to be the direction, but point them in a direction where you don't kill the credibility of your argument, if you have one. But don't kill the credibility of the words that you speak to another person based on the fact that you're ignorant in a fashion. Because if you're ignorant in any one fashion, then they can question all the other facets that you've brought forth. So that's the point. Treat all living life like it has a soul, even if it doesn't. Did you hear me? Treat all living life like it has a soul, even if it doesn't. I didn't say love your. I did not say love your enemies. I did not say that. But your enemies are still things that breathe and eat and sleep. Okay, they excrete things out of their body. So, with that said, you can hate your enemies. Once again, that's your God-given prerogative to hate these people. But once again, if you don't know what you're hating them for, or why you hate them, or which ones of them you should be hating, then calm down on all that kind of talk and figure yourself out first. Figure out your argument, know your speech, and then come back with the speech. But don't say that kind of stuff and put yourself in a position where somebody can pretty much say, well, you said this before, and you said that. So what does this mean? See what I'm saying? Well, put yourself in that position. And put yourself there. We're not politicians. I'm not a politician. If any of you are, I have yet to know. I didn't know. But I'm just saying, though, we're not politicians. It's not our job to do some of those types of things. It's your job as a person, once again, to treat another person who looks to have a living soul within their flesh. It's up to you to treat them like they're a person. You know what I'm saying? It's up to you to treat them like they're a person. You know, it's not up it's not up to someone else to treat them how they already treat themselves. So if you already treat yourself like a king, it's not up to me to treat you like a king because you already do that. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? This is the truth. This is the truth. I know a lot of y'all are like, I don't know, bro. Read the King David narrative and understand how King David really treated people. And then get it. That's excellent, Tammy Browser. That really is. Hallelujah, sister. That's excellent. That's excellent. That's excellent. You know, once again, those kinds of actions. You don't know how many times you stopped somebody from killing somebody, from hurting somebody real bad, from trying to rob them, from getting herself killed or getting herself hurt real bad. Uh, Once again, that's you saved the world that day from broken hearts and minds, whether or not you see it that way. But that's what you did, you know, and that's why it's a blessing to do that kind of stuff, you know, for people because you don't know what kind of problem you're going to prevent. Yeah, you might be enabling them right now to go get high, but because they got high, they didn't try to break that window open, and that guy who owns that car didn't come out there with this freaking 30 round, you know, shot pistol, freaking trying to kill somebody, you know. Yeah, right. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about, Tammy. You know, don't stop for nobody. You know, don't stop for none of the, for no sucker butt so-called black man who's mad because he doesn't want to do it for a brother or he just can't do it for a brother. Don't stop for no sucker butt black women who can't stand black men, or once again, she wished that she could do it. You know, it's just it is what it is. You know, but yeah, sister, that's the highest level of it, really. You know, doing for other people on that level. You know, being altruistic, as the gentleman said to me the other night, being selfish, being selfless, unselfish, being the what's it called? Oh my goodness, like a public something. You know what I mean? Pretty much like a person who like cares about the public. Well, of course they're gonna. Right. I hear you, sister. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. But they're supposed to respect you because you just did something for them. Even if it makes you feel good when you do it, you did something for them in the physical. What you did for yourself was metaphysical. You understand? It'll have a long term health effect in the latter, but in the here and now, you just feel better about yourself, which is good. You know, it's good to feel better about yourself because the environment we live in will make us feel down about ourselves. So it's good to do for others. It's always good when they appreciate you when you do for them. You know, uh, there's a lot of sad brothers and sisters out there that I wish I could do something for. I wish I could help them, but I can't. You know, I know my situation is limited. You know, so what I can do for people, I do. What I can't do, you know, I still try to find something. I still try to do something for people. You know, I don't want to do just nothing. Like if you say, man, I need $20, and realistically, all I've got is $15, but I need $10 of it, you know what I'm saying, to handle my business. As long as all I need is $10 and I don't need nothing else, here's the other five. Now you only need $15. See what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things where being nice to people, you know, that's right. That's exactly right, sister. That's exactly right. That is exactly right. I 100,000% agree with that statement. He has mercy on me daily. So for me to not show or give any mercy would speak volumes to how ungrateful I am. You see what I'm saying? It's just one of those things, though. What a day. What a day. Y'all just don't know. I talk about this stuff to like people who have no idea that I make like an internet channel. I talk about a lot of y'all, regular people, to other regular people, because I think y'all are really good people. I think y'all are a little more than regular, you know. I think y'all are capable people. That's what I think. You know better than I think, you know. So if you're capable, you know that. And if you're working on it, you know that. Working on talking better. If y'all haven't noticed this whole hangout, I had a couple of lapses, but I am actually on my conscious mind working on speaking better. Thanks to the brother who just said something, Mr. Roger Spice. Him and a couple other brothers. Andre Wickham, and the other couple guys, I'll leave them out because they you know their characters unbeknownst. I wouldn't want to just toss them out there like that. Wouldn't know how they would feel. But yeah, you know, working on talking better. You know, the other night I had a moment. Young lady, they ordered 4 hot dogs, and I got one in my hand, and I grab I I grabbed the hot dog, right, and I said, "Hey, here goes your hot dog. Here goes your hot dog. Here goes your hot dog." This chick has the audacity to tell me I ordered 4. Really? And I said, "Baby girl, are you serious right now?" I've always been horrible with words, Roger Spice. Neither one of my parents used to temper their speech when we were children. You know what I'm saying? I grew up, both my parents used to swear a lot. When say I've been talking really bad language since I was a little kid, to be perfectly honest. But but I was able to tell the chick just like this. I said, because normally, and my boy who's been knowing me for about 4 years, almost 5 years, I said, "Miss Lady, if you take this hot dog, I promise I'll give you the next 3. I promise I'll give you the next 3 if you take this one." They laugh a little bit. She takes it. And my boys, and I said, "Yeah, man, I'm working on not being, so belligerent." And he said, "Oh, yeah, a couple years ago?" He just cracked up. He said, "A couple years ago, yeah, that would have got you cussed out, baby." And he just told her straight up, like, and I didn't mind him telling her straight up because I knew straight up that a couple years before that, I probably would not have been so polite about that. So I feel blessed to have, once again, made so much growth in such a little bit of time. And a lot of it has to do with everybody who's sitting here right now. At one point or another, believe it or not, I've either rubbed elbows or talked to somebody. And that goes for Adrian Smith and Roderick Smith. I've seen them around before. See what I'm saying? And it's just one of those things. I always find it awkward, that we have that ability as people on each other to make us want to be better. You know, I feel like when a brother like Roger Spice, who, by the way, does not swear, does not use dirty language, and he thinks I am who I am, and for him to not talk like that, I'm like, well, that's something for me to work towards. Because if I can speak and not have to talk like this, then that's just that much better. You see what I'm saying? And then for whatever brothers that are listening, once again, for them to see that, growth is possible. You know, you don't have to stay stuck in your ways. Uh, will I slip up and say something whenever here and there? Sure, I'm sure I'm Demetrius. I'm sure I'm me. But just like I was before, like when I first got on all this stuff, I really didn't talk like that. And then something in me just got real bitter and real angry and kind of transformed the speech. And I'm getting back to, once again, I've told a few of my friends this, and I'll tell you all this. There was the real me is just about all the way back as far as feeling good in my spirits, feeling better and content in my spirits. And for years and years and years and years and years, I would have told people that this person was dead and gone, didn't exist anymore. But after my son's mother moved my son out of the state, I don't know, like something like just like clicked on. And I was like, yeah, I'm still that same dude. And it took, once again, years and years and years and the final turnaround of all of it. And so for me to want to get back to certain things that are really old to me, but are new in the sense that for years I've allowed myself to become carried away and to reel myself back in at this point, because I have brothers that are there that just by listening to them speak, once again, it's humbling because it's like, that's right. That is how you're supposed to be taught, you know. So, once again, though, I'm not above saying something that I think a person needs to hear. Please don't get it confused. But I'm really working on it. I'm gonna really work on it. And that's one of those things, you know, just as a person, just heard me say that. I'm working on that. You know, there's a lot of guys who would never even say something like that out loud to people. Got too much macho in them, not enough humble. And that is why Israel is where they are at today. All that macho and not enough humble. And now we got all the humble pie we can get. Can't give this stuff. We can't even give it away anymore. Other people used to think it tasted good till they realized how much humble pie we was holding on to. Right. Right. So just eating a big piece of that pie myself, and just realizing that I just have to just do as much as I can to make my situation the best that it can be while it can be that. And whatever I can do for another brother or another sister, whatever they need, if I can do that for them, I'm going to do that for them. You know, I remember watching movies as a kid, and you would like watch a guy like call like everybody he knew, and they would just like show up, right? And that was like what I thought real people were like. So I modeled myself and I groomed myself to be that kind of person. And I never knew that they were make believe. I didn't know movies were like fake until I was like, I don't know, like 4, almost 5, you know? And by then it didn't matter because I was already trying to be this kind of character, you see? And I became this kind of character in my own rights, in my own ways. Am I perfect with this character? No, of course not. But to the best ability that I have to be as dependable, as loyal, as forthcoming as I can be, I will do as such. Um, it was a blessing, y'all. Once again, I need to get a camcorder just so when I turn this thing on, I can record the first start of the live stream, just so y'all can see. Like, I'll say it now. There's some kind of YouTube thing against me. You know, I don't know what it is that YouTube really has against. I mean, like y'all can say, "Oh, you're telling them what they don't want to hear," but it's like there's only 7 people watching. You know what I mean? 6 now. So what are they so worried about? What are they so worried about that we can't just have a conversation? Because that's what I need y'all to always be ever present, ever conscious. They banned an account of Roger Spice, and Roger Spice really wasn't making like no incendiary stuff. He posted a video about homosexuality within the church, and I'm quite sure what the pastor said is what got his video flagged down. The pastor said at the end of the video pretty much that if they asked every homosexual, lesbian, transgender, uh, uh, whatever type person to leave the church, people having fantasies or whatever, that there would be no church. So I'm assuming the entire church almost came down on that video and came down on his account, and then they just went and just flagged a bunch of shit at one time. So right there slipped up, but excuse me. Yeah, that's how they did it. And so I'm not walking on eggshells because I have a Twitch account, you know, but until I have to do anything on that, I'm not gonna blow that one up. I'm not gonna do anything to that. You know, all this is a strategy. Everything is a strategy. Anything that I do for a reason, even if I don't seem like I have one. Uh, this has been amazingly, amazingly fun. I got a few more good old couple more minutes in me of just encouraging our people. You know, uh, I went in on the little dang on what's it called, white trash review. You know, I don't normally get carried away like that about the stuff that is so-called indicative to so-called race. Well, man, that's what it is, man. We're just trying to just grow, man. You don't once again you don't build trees, you grow them. You know, and there's a there's a Leek and Adama tree. There's a Roger Spice tree. There's a Wavy Ben Israel tree. There's an Andre Wickham tree. Right on. A Roderick and Adrian Smith tree. Here I go. Teddy Bowser tree. Everybody has their own dang on tree. There's a tree for all of us, but the seeds were planted such a long time ago, you know, and and we're trying to get trees that normally they bro. The best way I could put it is that we're trying to plant these trees into new soil altogether. We're trying to dig all the way down to the roots. We can dig far enough down to where it's not going to damage the growth pattern of this tree once it's replanted. And it's going to be in shock for a while. It's going to be in shock because the soil that it used to be in that it thought was good soil, not good soil. And we're trying to, find the best soil we can get before we root ourselves anywhere. You know, I've rooted my tree in the scripture. I would advise you all to do the same, you know, just to get to know that Bible the best you can. So that way, when you hear things that don't sound right, you can just point them out like that ain't right. That ain't right. You know, it's it's a blessing once again, y'all, just to be alive, man, and just to be here. Um, I I didn't forget about the live stream, but when Andre called me today, right? It was funny because I looked at the time and I was like, oh, that's right, I got to do a live stream. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was just funny because the Most High has His own ways of putting you on notice. You know, making sure that you're paying attention. And I just appreciate, man, all y'all brothers and sisters for just being here. You know, it's not easy saying these things. Uh, it's even less easy to the fact that I don't rubric the speech out to anything. So I'm just talking. You know, a lot of There's a lot of people who can say whatever, you know. It's different when you're not attacking other people, you know. Uh, you could talk about somebody else for a long time. It's easy to do that. You know, what's hard to do is to speak on a subject and to speak on different aspects of a subject. And for people to understand that all these different aspects still tie back into this one massive subject. And I attempt to do that. I appreciate you guys though, man. This is a tight chat. I like Sunday night chat. I like that. I like that idea right there. I think I'm going to keep it like that. I think what I'll do is um, every once in a while, if I'm just in the middle of the week and I want to do some other stuff, and I can, I'm going to get more into the live stream thing than uploading videos on YouTube. To get more into just having kind of like lessons type stuff put together, like things that I want to like go over. Once we go over that stuff, bam, it's a free for all. And then so have like a good hour and a half of like like material that we can cover, you know, and then like 10, 12 subjects, they get like 10 minutes a piece. Maybe 8 or 9, they get like 15 to 17 minutes a piece. It just depends, but break some stuff down and then have fun like that too, you know. Um, I just don't want to get too carried away on none of that because I want this to be fun. This is fun. This is really, to me, this is fun. This is like chopping it up with people, man. You know. Okay, Tammy, I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll do that. So I'll start working on it tomorrow, as far as what to put together, and then if whatever um Bible scriptures, subjects, whatever, anything you guys want to talk about, just let me know. You know, um, um, outside of hitting me up in a video, my email is 1 second. Type my email. All right, that's me. So that be the email. You know, if you want a subject you want to cover, or specific scriptures that you want to go over, anything like that, whatever, anything, any subject, I'm not above searching a subject out, saying what I already know about it offhand, and then going about it like that. But once again, searching it out, gathering knowledge on it, getting understanding about it, and then bringing forth a synopsis about the situation. You know, because that's the most important thing right there. Is just knowing that we can we can uh, we can share the information, you know, with each other. I'm not above nothing. Once again, I don't know everything. Never will claim I do. But before I get done with this Sunday night chat, I just want to give you guys one more rundown once again of how I read the Bible. In the beginning, the Most High created the heaven and the earth. He separates the water on top to the water below. The water below stays on the actual surface of earth. Before this, the dry land still had not yet appeared, but the actual template of earth was existing. The firmament, or what they call heaven, right on. and the stars and the likes and the different dimensions, which is also constitutions of the firmament and the different dimensions of heaven. However, we're not going to go into that because that's not important. But the Most High creates species that come out of the water after he makes the light come on. After he realizes that the light is bright at all times, he creates a mechanism to dim the light for when it's nighttime and to increase the light when it's morning. So that way the distinction between the two is ever present. He distinguishes for the people before all this, the separation of the water to the places on the earth, so that way when the dry land appears after the sun comes up, because I understand the dry land only appears after the sun. Okay, so when this dry land comes out, you have all these crevices, this place to hold the water. So the water is now shaped around the actual earth, the dry land. Hold on. He then creates all the animals, all the water animals, being the water reptile, the birds of the first birds, then being the fish of the sea, and the great whales, flying creatures of heaven, also. Then after that, he would create the land animals, which being the land reptile and the beast of the field. You see. Then after this, he would establish that there was trees, germination. From what we understand, these trees are fruit trees. I'm trying to think of how many vegetables grow on trees. So the herb of the field are clearly vegetables and the things of the like. Um, with that said, all fruit does not have to be sweet. An avocado is a fruit. A tomato or a tomato is a fruit. However, pressing forward, with all these things created, the Most High finally created male and female. The term male or female is not indicative to man and or woman. So it is not a singular term, but it is a term to describe what they were when they were created. Presumptively, they are grouped male and female, being that there's more than one man, more than one woman when this happens. He then gives mandate to these things after creating them in the exact image and likeness of he and his fellow cohorts that he created from within himself. Yes, much, 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 much more powerful beings than people could ever imagine. However, after they were created and told to replenish and to supply the planet with living sentient life that would subdue the earth and all things that lived upon it, right? Be it that they were to be vegans, only to eat fruit off the trees in the field of the ground, okay? Herb of the field. And being that is different than the herb of the grass. Yes, it is. It is different than the herb of the grass that a man named Adam supposedly was to cultivate after he was created in the day in which the Most High created man, right on, or excuse me, heaven and earth. He created man and woman, male and female. He created them in his image, you see. But this man was not created in like such, or not explained in like such in this instance. The instance where that man is said to be created in the Most High's image, it is presumptive that the woman created with the man Adam is this woman Lilith, his first wife. However, since this is not made clear within the context of the scripture, one can only read that Adam has one wife. His one wife comes after he is made or tendered to be believed to be alone, not lone, being a state of being by himself or not knowing companionship, but alone, one who is now being left by themselves. However, this not being a major factor moving forward, This man has children with a woman that is created out of the rib of his body. Why the Most High God would not create the woman out of the dust of the ground and breathe upon her face the breath of life also, I have no idea. But however, we shall move forward because that did not happen. And what happened was that this woman is effectively the first clone, a scientific notion that we know about now. And I didn't go into the evolutionary stages of creation or anything like that because I didn't want to get carried away. But to further this situation, now we have in thought and in mind a man and a woman who, before they ever have children, where the children would have been immortal no matter what, would have lived forever no matter what. If they had had children before they ate from this tree in the garden, because they did not, their children subsequently do not live forever. With that said, the eldest kills the youngest in a fit of rage and jealousy. However, this eldest son is the first man to ever build a city, and from his loins are the creators of many of the most modern concepts. You could argue all. However, going forward, out of the loins of the man Adam comes another son named Seth. Eventually, from this son is a man named Jared. In his generation, there was the happening of the mingling or the corruption of flesh of man and the spirit of the Most High God. When this happens, when this happens, the first creation that was told to multiply is now placed in the peril of losing their immortality. Ever much so, some become freak of nature beast things because of their births and the circumstances of their births. See, what makes them different is the fact that an angel obviously cannot be made out of the same flesh and constitution as a man. And when they come to this planet, those attributes have to be made into practical substances. So essentially, whatever the human body used to be made out of, it is no longer made out of anymore. We are all living in corrupted flesh. We will never know what the human body was actually comprised of. However, one can assume that many of the base elements that are found in the highest concentrations are what we are primarily made up out of. And the other things found in trace amounts are the things that were introduced into our genetics by these so said fallen ones. However, that's neither the point either. The point being is that during the generation of this man, Jared, the fall happens. Therefore, the corruption of all flesh happens. The corruption of flesh is so important because following this event, there's a flood. But the flood is preceded by the birth of a man whose name is Noah or Noe in certain books, Nuh in others. However, Noe has 3 sons, and he himself is born from a birth of a mother who is from the first creation. Noah's mother is not an Adamite. She could not have been, seeing that his father only lived 700 and was it 747 years, I want to say. It's believable, excuse me, it's believable that the man's wife was from the first creation cast and that her life expectancy was greater than that of 1,000 years. That means that her life or her bloodline was that of a person who had never been entangled or tainted with that of the fallen. To increase a man's longevity from 700 years to almost that of 1,000, only for his children to live 600 years, based on the life expectancy of so said Sim. Why this is so important? Because the genetic constitution of all people on this planet, not all, well, all people who have some people in them, can be traced back to a maternal root of the first creation. And the other Adamite root, the fraternal root, only certain men have. are only certain men are true Adamites, only certain women are true Adamites. The rest are all Gentiles. It's that simple. It's not really a mystery. But the fact that it's been convoluted and changed and getting to the climax of all this, so that way you can go ahead and go to sleep on this. The idea that these three sons have a mother who is not from the Adamite bloodline, presumptively, their wives are not from the Adamite bloodline, but more than likely from a similar tribe or a similar area. Assuming that all the wives look totally different, the children still have to congeal their blood and still become one race, one lip. However, let's presume that the mothers are all from one tribe and they all look similar. This would make the idea of people being in different regions today who have no similar history, whom look similar, as to why they look similar, because they come from the genetics of triplets and not men and who were not triplets, who have the ability to have differing patterns, whereas we have now people who were not triplets who have birth children who have different look patterns and everything. However, this has been a very fun Sunday night chat. I appreciate all of your time. I want you to think about this, please. Please do. The sons of Noah are triplets. The wives of the sons are more than likely from the same tribe. They create a people who look a very distinct way. What I want you to think about is, where did everyone else come from? Oh, happy birthday to you, Jake. However, where did all these other beings come from? What scientific notion, other than people seeding from the caverns within the mountains that they will show you that exist today and other parts and other places and parts of the earth? Nope, not my birthday. Clearly it can't be. However, Jake, you see this right here, y'all? As we were finishing up, this is how they do this. However, we finish on this note. Where did Jake come from, y'all? Huh? Where did Jake come from? Tell us that. Ask yourself that. Where did yellow hair and blue eyes come from? And pasty white skin? Where could it have been incubated for years for it to have survived the thousands of years that it should have already been? Thank you, sister. That's right. And this goes for all the other looks of all the other people. Where did they all come from? It's that simple. Hey, y'all. It's getting late. Some of y'all are working on that Eastern time. I know you have dark hair and green eyes. Don't worry. That's just as funky. That's just as funky. And you're from Belgium. It's okay. I'm not hating on you, Jake. I'm just saying that realistically, if we came at it from a geneticist point of view, somebody who looks like me will never make a person that has like hair that lays down. Me and a woman that have hair like this can't make a person a hair that has laid down. They might have green eyes. They might even have lighter skin, but their hair won't lay down. Can you dig it, big dog? And two people that have hair that lay down won't have a baby, no matter how dark that baby is, with hair like this. So until we can get to the bottom line of all these things, we will never actually be able to have a conducive conversation. And the fact that people are deflective as opposed to being reflective, right? This is why. However, Jake from Belgium, we appreciate, he is Thor's love child. He don't know. Dark hair and light eyes is just as funky as light hair and dark eyes. Just as funky. But it's okay. Jake, we don't judge you. We're not judging you for that, right on? We're judging you for who you are. If you're a bad person, then you're just a bad person. Yeah, Balgium. Yeah, yeah. No, you're not. No, you ain't throwing no shade. Stop, please. He knows the Belgium have committed war crimes against the Algerians. Please. He knows the freaking Belgians have committed war crimes all in the Horn of Africa. Please. Please. Uncontested war crimes. So before Jake from Belgium said anything crazy, he would have to know that the person he's speaking to isn't just some black guy with crazy looking hair. However, that's okay. Belgian American, you're Indo European, Jake. Can you dig it? Did you know that guys from India with black skin and dark hair and dark eyes are Indo Europeans also? So don't take it personal, okay? Don't take it personal. There's really not a shot at white people. You know, I know y'all like to make everything about y'all, but it's not about y'all. Man, this is so crazy, y'all. Where did this guy come from? I swear we was about to look, 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 look. We're not gonna look. He's doing way too much. You see how they come and they do stuff? You see how they come and they do stuff? Look, he stops. He does not drag the show on. My people, I love y'all. I love y'all. It has been a wonderful night. I salute you 1,000 times. Okay? Take it easy. And Jake from Belgium, you be good. And good night, everybody. Once again, I salute you.